The following is a special production of WOBL WDLW Sports. On air, online, on YouTube, on the web. The Lorain County Sports Network is your home for high school football. Okay, so just 2 more weeks of regular season high school football left in 2025. For some seniors on some teams, that means a total of 96 minutes of football left in their career. For others, there is a future, both in terms of this year and future college playing time, if you get there, if you make the team, and if you can stay healthy. Here's hoping for those elite level players that they can achieve all of that. In the meantime, there will be postseason play courtesy of the OHSAA. Locally though, it might be some slim pickings this year. This is the Stewart's TV and Appliance pregame show on the Lorain County Sports Network. Buy smart, buy local, buy Stewart's TV and Appliance in Elyria for all of your household and maybe even your business appliance needs. Good evening, I'm Don Vincent, and welcome. There's a fair amount online for some teams tonight, so let's start breaking it down. I mentioned last week that Joe Eitel and Drew Pasture's websites are pretty helpful in evaluating playoffs. A lot of the information here is based on their work with a little additional evaluation of my own thrown in. So let's look at the local D1 teams, Lorain and Elyria. While technically still in the hunt for the postseason, they're likely on the outside looking in. Both would have to win out and get some help, which I don't see happening right now. In D2, Avon is in and will host. I think they will be top 4, so that means they get a bye, and then we'll see where it goes from there. North Ridgeville likely gets in with 1 win either tonight or next Friday, but if they don't get both of those wins, it will likely be a bad draw for them. Amherst and Avon Lake could still make it by winning out and getting some help. Unfortunately, I just don't think that happens for either of them. In Division 3, if the Middies win out, they'll still need some help. Elyria Catholic will not win out. They get CVCA and NDCL, 2 of the best in their league. In Division 4, Vermilion is the top-ranked local team, but the list of help they need is deep. They sit at number 8 right now. I'm pulling hard for them, but I'm just not convinced it's a good result. Neither Firelands nor Clearview will win out. Both have Columbia and Keystone to finish, and both need both wins. Brookside is mathematically eliminated, but there's still a lot to play for. Division 5 sports the one team that's kind of a surprise to me in that they are not in a stronger position. The Keystone Wildcats, with their 5-3 record, I thought would be a shoo-in. Here's the upside for them. The teams that could jump them just aren't that strong. They may get in by default. Also in D5, Wellington likely wins one of its last 2, but that probably won't be enough to push them into Week 11. Columbia in Division 6, I like them for a Week 11 bye. Black River is fringy, even with 2 wins to close out the season. Finally, in D7, the Oberlin Phoenix finish with Brookside and Black River. I don't see a path for them to get there. So that's my take on the playoff picture. Quick review, we know that Avon and Columbia are in and headed for byes. North Ridgeville is likely. Keystone and Vermilion are on the bubble. On to tonight's action in the games on the network, including the local game everyone talks about every year. In the LC8, Oberlin will be at Brookside, both looking for their first conference win. 4-4, 4-1 Firelands will be at 5-3, 4-1 Keystone. Winner of this one is probably number 2 in the conference. Columbia is home against Clearview. Maybe not a running clock, but close. The last game on the conference is our WOBL Game of the Week. 3-5, 1-4 Wellington visits 4-4, 2-2 Black River. Gary Tollett and Brian DeVito will be on the call on 107.7 FM, 1320 AM, and WOBLradio.com. In North Coast Conference action, 6-2 Notre Dame Cathedral Latin will be at 3-5 Elyria Catholic. The last 2 weeks of the season will be a rough go for the Panthers. Speaking of rough last weeks, 2-6 Lorain plays host to Lake County's 8-0 Mentor. The Titans end up with Medina next week. We like the next game. It features 2 teams with identical records. Both are 5-3 overall and 1-1 in the SBC. Edison travels to Vermilion. Check this one out on YouTube with Dave Rivera and Jared Viancourt. Search Lorain County Sports Network. The network is spending a lot of time in the SWC this week. Starting off with the one game that we won't be at, Elyria will take its first win of the season on the road at 4-4 Berea Mid Park. 5-3, 3-2 Olmsted Falls is a guest at 4-4, 1-4 Midview. Richard Flowers and his team will be in Grafton for the game. Check out their reports on Facebook at Lorain County Friday Night Lights. Our second stream game of the night comes from North Ridgeville. The 7-1, 4-1 Rangers play the 4-4, 2-3 Amherst Steel Comets. Bull Barch and Max Drummond will have the call on the Lorain County Sports Network on YouTube. And finally, it's the rivalry. Pick your favorite cliche, it'll play. Avon Lake visits Avon. The records don't matter. I'll be sitting next to Dave Granzinski for this one. It's always fun when it's Lake and South. So that's the lineup. Hope your team is successful tonight. The Buckeye Community Bank Coaches Corner is up next. You'll get the insights from the guys at the top of the programs. We'll be back with more Stewart's TV and Appliance pregame show in just a few.
Week 9 of the high school football season, where teams are jockeying for position as the playoff picture continues to take shape. And we've got a great one for you here at North Ridgeville's Ranger Stadium, where tonight the Rangers take on the Amherst Comets in another SWC clash. And we're happy to have it for you on our Legacy Home Finance game of the week. Legacy Home Finance, your local, reliable, and trusted lender. So happy to have you with us tonight, Andy Bullbarch, joined alongside the rest of Lorain County's four horsemen. We've got Max Drummond providing the colorful analysis tonight. El Capitan, the director of our ship, is Edwin Vereen, and we've got Sam Sovacool working the camera tonight. Max, great to be joined by you as always here on our pregame show, brought to you by Stewart's TV and Appliance. Shop local, shop Stewart's TV and Appliance in Elyria. Well, should be a great one here tonight. For the Amherst Comets, well, it's pretty simple. If they win their next couple of games, they'll put themselves in a great position to be in the always difficult Division II Region 6. And for the North Ridgeville Rangers, well, a win here tonight would go a long ways to hosting a game here in the first round of the playoffs, and maybe, with a little help, maybe even getting a bye.
Yeah, a lot on the line for both teams tonight, and with the condensed of the playoff bracket and format, you wondered maybe there'd be less of that this year, but we've got it here tonight, and it should be a very exciting matchup between two teams that are antsy to go at it.
Coming your way from the GreenPath CPA Solutions broadcast booth, not your typical accounting firm. Visit greenpathcpa.com. Well, we've been looking forward to this one for a while, because coming in, you look at it on paper, 4-4 Amherst, and for North Ridgeville, just the one loss, falling to Avon earlier this season. This has the makings of a really, really good one. And I think if you take a look at how both teams have handled the season so far, a lot of balance offensively for North Ridgeville. They can throw it, they can run it, and that's not to say that Amherst can't run it. They certainly have the ability to do so, but they've really shown the ability to throw it all over the field.
Yeah, both offenses really trust their quarterbacks, very veteran guys that have been leading teams for several years now at the varsity level, and they're both a bit of dual threats, and both are being asked to do a lot more, I think, than they ever have in their high school careers, and it's led to a lot of really efficient, really good play on the field.
Weather conditions, we've been so lucky to say this every single week. Certainly no issue here tonight. The weather and field conditions brought to you by Lorain County Clerk of Courts Tom Orlando, a proud supporter of high school athletics. This is one of our favorite facilities, one of the absolute best, not only in Lorain County, but the greater Cleveland area as well. The conditions never used as an excuse here. It is an outstanding fall evening.
Yeah, and looking out there tonight, 61 degrees, already cloudy, so whenever the sunset does happen, we may not even be aware of it, and we'll probably be too immersed in this game anyways.
Yeah, I think we certainly will. At least we certainly hope that we will be here in about a half hour or so. Let's take a quick look at the injury update brought to you by Elyria Jewelry and Repair, treating customers like family. When you get this deep into the season, I think everybody's at least a little bit banged up. But when you talk about the injuries, there are a couple that come to mind. And when you look at North Ridgeville, well, there is a glaring guy missing in that backfield. We talk about how they average over 220 yards a game on the ground. Zach Barnhart was at the forefront of that, but he, of course, is gone for the season.
Yeah, now it's leaving them trying to find a couple guys to maybe fill the void or to step up and take some of the pressure off of Cole Miller, who's turned into a bit of a runner himself over this season. So it'll be interesting to see that play out in front of us tonight.
That's a big one for sure. And also Christian Wolf, a 6'4", 265-pound lineman for the Amherst Comets. He was their starting right tackle. He's out because of a knee injury, and in all likelihood, he's going to miss the remainder of at least the regular season. So those are the two big ones. And look, nobody comes into Week 9 healthy, but you find out pretty quickly, especially in the SWC Max, if these teams are able to adhere to that next man up mentality.
Yeah, and it's rosters that have a decent amount of depth on both sides. Specifically for Amherst, they were able to slide over a couple guys and fill in different spots on that offensive line. So excited to see how the line of scrimmage battle was going to play out anyways, but now we're going to see if that can play more of a role than we might have thought coming in.
Taking a look at the captains for both sides. They're brought to you by the North Coast Insurance Group. See Robert H. Garcia, your local Allstate agent in Avon. Well, for the Amherst Comets, Cy Christensen, Patrick Fellenstein, Tyler Den, Hunter Thornsberry, and David Duziak. For North Ridgeville, Cole Miller, Carter Clark, Ashton Cassetto, Christian Easley, and they had the aforementioned Zach Barnhart out there on crutches as well. Coming up here in just a few moments, we're going to hear from both head coaches on our Buckeye Community Bank Coaches Corner. Today and tomorrow, your partner for growth, that's Buckeye Community Bank. We'll hear from the coaches here in just a moment, then we'll bring it back here to take a look at the officials for tonight's game, the keys to the contest, and much, much more. It's North Ridgeville playing host to the Amherst Comets in Week 9 of the high school football season. It's live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. Welcome into the Buckeye Community Bank Coaches Corner. We are sitting down with Amherst head coach Tom Thome. Coach, we appreciate you giving us a few moments of your time. Well, you have 2 games left in the regular season, a healthy chunk of seniors on this roster. Can you give us a glimpse, behind the scenes as to what this group has meant, both on the field and off, this big group of seniors of yours?
Yeah, they've obviously been with me since I got here a few years ago. A lot of them have contributed significantly. For the last 3 years, David Duziak's been a 2-year starter for the last 2 years, and he played significant as a sophomore. Tyler Den, Mason Morales, Patrick Fellenstein, all these guys have been playing, since I got here. Peyton Leibacher's been tremendous as a wide receiver. So, they're great kids, great group of kids to be around. And, they've really helped this program continue to move forward over the last few years.
I want to stick with something that you mentioned. You talked about how these guys have made big contributions since you arrived. What are some of the differences you've noticed in the program since you arrived? Some big areas of improvement. What kind of stands out in that regard?
Since we got here, just more consistency. These kids have done a great job in the weight room. A lot of these guys are multi-sport athletes, and they've been contributing for multiple programs, helping out, and just attention to detail, knowing how to preparing to win, and just gravitating and doing what's best for the program versus just themselves.
A few moments ago, we talked about the senior class, but you have a healthy chunk of underclassmen that see significant snaps as well. Can you tell us a little bit about these guys, and what are some of the things that they've done throughout the course of the season to continue to see significant snaps this deep into the season?
Yeah, at the skill position, Cale Charles does a tremendous job at wide receiver, Division I commit at Kent State for baseball. Jack Coleman's a sophomore playing corner, doing a great job. And just a lot of guys across the board. Anthony Litz doing well at DN and tight end. And even when I was, forget to mention the O-line, we got 3 seniors on the O-line, but, 2 sophomores starting right now, and Swears and Vincent. So just a good group of guys, upperclassmen, underclassmen contributing.
Let's talk about this passing attack. Cy Christensen coming over certainly has made an immediate impact, and it seems like a lot of different kids get involved in that passing game. How has that passing game evolved throughout the season?
Yeah, Cy does a tremendous job getting the ball where he needs to, getting the ball to the open guy versus just trying to lock in on one guy. Something crazy in Cy's career, he's never had a receiver over 1,000 yards. And if you look at us, between Peyton, David, and Kale, they're all over like 300 yards, multiple touchdowns. And then we've got, other guys that have contributed in games. So Cy does a great job with just having his eyes downfield and always trying to find who's open versus just trying to go one guy. He goes off to his second or third read pretty well.
On the other side of the ball, what kind of identity do you hope that your team has established this deep into the season?
11 playing as one. Just 11 guys with bad intentions, always getting to the ball, flying to the ball, playing within the system, and knowing, they got to accomplish their job and do their responsibility so they don't leave someone else out on an island. And I think we've done a really good job over the last few weeks at doing that defensively. Been really impressed with that group.
Well, of course, taking on North Ridgeville tonight, an opponent that's certainly put together a heck of a season, just the one loss. What are some things that the Rangers do really well that concerns you a bit going into tonight's matchup?
I mean, if you watch their games, especially against Midview, against Berea Mid-Park, they're going to play for 48 minutes regardless of what that score is. And, if you're going to play them, they're well coached. They come in each week with a unique game plan. Number 10 is a tremendous quarterback. But I think what, you need to prepare your students for is it's going to be a 48-minute battle, and North Ridgeville is not going to quit regardless of what that score says.
And we can wrap up with this, Coach, just a couple of keys in your mind that would go a long ways in an Amherst victory.
Just playing fast, playing loose, being very confident in what we do. Offensively, taking what they give us and executing. And then defensively rallying to the ball, making number 10 beat you in different ways is going to have to be our role. And then special teams have to be key. They have a tremendous kicking game. Their kicker is extremely impressive in where he can put the ball. So, we have to win all 3 phases, not just focus on one.
Well, Coach Thome, we appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for joining us, and we wish you the best of luck against North Ridgeville later on tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Coach. Again, that's Amherst head coach Tom Thome joining us here on the Buckeye Community Bank Coaches Corner. We'll step aside and take a quick timeout and come back with more after this on the Lorain County Sports Network. Rolling along here in our Buckeye Community Bank Coaches Corner, and we are sitting down right now with North Ridgeville head coach Brian Morgan. Coach, as always, we appreciate you giving us a few moments of your time. Senior night tonight, and you've got a pretty big group. You were telling me earlier 32 seniors will be honored on senior night tonight. Coach, can we go into detail here on this group, and let's talk about the impact that these 32 seniors have made? What are some words that come to mind, and I guess more specifically, who are some of the individuals who have taken on expanded roles in your program the last 4 years?
Yeah, we have the most captains we've ever had. We decided, because of our voting, because of our feedback from our team this year, we decided to go on 6 captains. So Carter Clark, Zach Barnhart, Christian Ensley, Jason Ellison, Cole Miller. They're just guys that have done everything all season long in the off season to try to get us to the point we're at now. And it's been exciting to watch them sort of grow the program. And a lot of the guys are guys that we've seen, every single year for the last 3 years perform on the varsity field. Carter Clark has, been a third-year starter at safety for us. Cole Miller, third-year starter at quarterback for us. Christian Ensley is a 3-year letter winner up front. Jason Ellison was a guy last year who rotated in with one of the best offensive lines in school history. So, it's just guys that we see. Ashton Cassetto is another guy. I think I left him off the list there, but, he started as a freshman in our playoff game against Anthony Wayne, at Anthony Wayne for the first time. And, it's just guys that have really bought in. They lead every single day by example, and they want the best for our football team and our football program after they leave.
You guys have had a heck of a season. Just the one loss so far. You've beaten some darn good teams along the way also. Are you guys where you would like to be, or where you feel like you guys kind of deserve to be when it comes to that playoff seeding? I know we're still a couple of weeks away, but it's getting awfully close. Are you guys pleased with where you're at in that regard?
I've been asked this a couple of times, and at the beginning of the year, we thought we had the opportunity to be a pretty good football team and to win some games. And, as the season goes on, some things happen here or there. And, all of a sudden you're thinking, well, this one's going to be tough. And you see the results of some scores against future opponents. And you think, all these things are going to be really tough to get to where we thought we would be. And, our team has proven that, they can win games and they can overcome adversity. We were about 4 seconds away from losing to Grafton and the game over there after we after we beat Elyria, and then at home against Berea Mid-Park, it was the same thing. It came down to the last play. We needed a defensive stop and we got it. So, the resiliency of this team, they don't give up when we're down, and to keep working. I think that sky's the limit, especially going into playoffs here soon. I think that our guys believe, and that's a dangerous thing.
You had talked about making a big defensive stop a couple weeks back at one of your big wins. I want to stay on that side of the ball for just a moment. You were telling me earlier that you guys had to shift the personnel a little bit. You guys look a little different on defense this year than you did last year. What are some changes that you made, and who are some of the guys who have really stepped up and made that work for you?
So we talked about in the off season. We graduated Carson Matus, Tyler Paragord, and Austin DeShazo. Two of those guys were all state linebackers. Tyler Paragord was probably just as good as the other two, just didn't quite get the recognition. But when you graduate guys like that, you have to take a look at your next group and decide, is this a group? What's the strengths of this group? And we had 3 down linemen that were all returning, and we rotated another guy in. So we wanted to get our best 11 guys out there. So Hamza Famawi was one of our starting nose last year. He's back. Christian Ensley, I mentioned already before. He moved inside to D-tackle. Ashton Cassetto, and then Braden Laszlo are our defensive ends. And, those guys are consistent. They're strong. They're leaders in the weight room. They're guys that have prepared their bodies all off season to be where we're at right now. And, we needed to get them on the field and make sure that they were part of this whole process for this year, because they're a big strength of our football program.
Well, of course, a difficult task tonight, taking on the Amherst Comets, a team that certainly has a lot of skill, no doubt about that. And right now, they're hoping to pull off some upsets as they get to the finish line as well and try and sneak their way into the playoffs. Coach, when you look at those guys on paper and on film, what are some things that Amherst does really well?
Skill for them is pretty impressive. Cy moving in from Clearview in the past, he's a guy that he almost reminds me of a good backyard football player. A lot of times when things aren't there, he ad-libs and makes a play, and you wouldn't be able to do that if you didn't have some pretty good wide receivers. So we like their quarterback, we like their wide receivers. Defensive line is quick, even though they're a little undersized. Fellenstein is a great defender for them, plays linebacker and a little bit on the defensive line. So, they've got some guys that got the pieces I know that their record doesn't show it, but anytime in the SWC, if you don't perform well, you can lose a football game.
Well, Coach Morgan, as always, we tremendously appreciate a few moments of your time, and we wish you the best of luck against Amherst later on tonight.
Thanks a lot, Bull.
Thank you, Coach. Again, that's North Ridgeville head coach Brian Morgan joining us here on the Buckeye Community Bank Coaches Corner. We'll step aside and take a quick timeout and come back with more after this on the Lorain County Sports Network. Welcome back out to North Ridgeville's Ranger Stadium as we put the finishing touches on our pregame show, brought to you by Stewart's TV and Appliance. Shop smart, shop local, shop Stewart's TV and Appliance in Elyria. Great to have you with us tonight. Andy Bullbarch and Max Drummond on the call for you. Edwin Vereen is our director. Sam Sovacool up on the roof. He is working the camera tonight. Time to take a look at our keys to tonight's game, brought to you by Williams Brothers Builders, performing site work, concrete, and carpentry with their own forces. That's Williams Brothers Builders.
Actually got to pass their shop along the way here on Sugar Lane in Elyria on the way out. So looking at those keys for tonight's matchup, we'll start with the visiting Comets as they're about to storm onto the field here. And the key for them, I think, it's got to be to win the turnover battle. Now, yes, that's a common theme among teams, especially at this level, but they've got a +7 turnover margin on the season, and it's been real favorable for them as of late. So they've got to be able to find a way to get a couple turnovers out of that North Ridgeville offense. And speaking of that offense of the Rangers, their key offense, somebody's got to help out Cole Miller tonight. Obviously, the ball's going to be in his hand. Every play is out there. But whether it's a running back filling in or one of their receivers having to play a couple different roles throughout the night, somebody's got to take some pressure off of him and make sure that it's not all on him to get the job done or to deliver most of the offensive production tonight.
Great stuff out of you as always. Let's take a look at our officials for tonight, brought to you by Stringer and Gager, providing personal injury, family law, and workers' compensation cases. That's Stringer and Gager. Tonight's officials: Eric Metzger is the referee. He'll be joined by William McCrone, Jonathan Dana, Christopher Mackey, James Sharp, and Christopher Rahel. All right, with that in mind, we'll take a look at our starting lineups tonight, brought to you by Gehring's Tavern. Post-game meals just taste better at Gehring's Tavern in Grafton. You and Edwin Vereen found that out firsthand last week.
That's right. We got to sample a few different things. I had the burger. He had some wings. Highly recommend them.
I have heard nothing but great things. Hope to check that out sometime. Let's take a look, as it'll be Amherst on offense to start the game tonight. We'll look at how they're aligned offensively, led by senior quarterback Cy Christensen, 6'3", 195-pound senior. Starting tailback number 4, Peyton Gillis, a senior, 5'10", 185. The H-back is number 13, Chris Hoopus, 5'9", 140. He's a sophomore. The 3 starting receivers are number 3, Peyton Linebacker, a senior, 5'10", 175. Number 2, David Duziak, also a senior at 5'10", $165. Cale Charles is the other receiver at 6 feet tall, 160 pounds. He's a junior. Up front, Hunter Farlow, the left tackle. The left guard is Jordan Hatfield. Ethan Vincent, the center. Right guard, Evan Swears. And the right tackle is Hunter Thornsberry.
The defense that'll be opposing them for the Rangers will start up front with a very experienced defensive line, Braden Laszlo, as well as Hamza Famwari holding out the defensive ends. Ashton Cassetto and Christian Ensley will be on the interior. Moving up to the linebackers, Nolan Gill, Ryan Anderson, as well as Frank Brady, a trio of seniors there. And that'll continue with the safeties, Brian Strippy, who does lead the county in interceptions to this point, Carter Clark, also a senior wearing number 2. And then the corners, Jaden Williams, as well as Javon Harris.
A little while ago, we were treated to a national anthem by the marching band of the North Ridgeville Rangers. We also got to hear from the Amherst marching band, too. Really cool stuff. Both were just terrific. National anthem brought to you by the United States Air Force. If you're interested in being a recruit, report to the U.S. Air Force office in Avon. Coin toss brought to you by the Lorain County Visitors Bureau. Celebrating 200 years together. That's the Lorain County Visitors Bureau. All right, we're being perfectly honest here. We're not exactly sure who won the coin toss, but what we do know is that Amherst is going to receive the opening kickoff. So They will be going from our right to our left to get things going here tonight. The opening kickoff brought to you by Lorain County Community College. Kick off your future with LCCC. That's Lorain County Community College. Cannot overstate just how big this game is for both teams. Next week, Amherst will take on Midview. Right now, they are 15th in Division II, Region 6. It would take a couple of wins and maybe even a little bit of help for Amherst to get into the playoffs. For North Ridgeville, well, they control their own destiny. They've got this game here tonight. They go to Olmsted Falls next week. So 2 really tough tests. And Max, a chance to host or maybe even get a bye in that first round.
Yeah, that could be all important, as we talked about how they're a little bit banged up throughout their roster, so that could be huge, and buying some extra time to get some guys back. And you got to go earn it, though. That's the best part about this. And as for Amherst, they're looking to get to back-to-back playoffs for the first time since the turn of the century. How exciting would that be?
Finley Keller has it teed up at the 40-yard line, ready to kick it away. Here's our opening kickoff. It's an onside kick. That's a bit of a surprise. The ball's bouncing around near the 47-yard line. Both sides are indicating that they've got it. Nobody giving us a signal from the Zebras, and we do have a signal now. North Ridgeville has it. So the Rangers recover the onside kick to start the game. And now the officials are going to huddle up here. The initial call was that it was North Ridgeville ball. And it will indeed be Ranger football at the 46 of Amherst. Boy, how is that for a gamble to start the game?
That's electric. And, I mean, Finley Keller, gutsy play right there with the perfect kick. And it looked like he was trying to fall on it himself. Instead, it ends up with Ryan Anderson, the senior, on senior night, getting it started with a bang.
So here comes this North Ridgeville offense. They send DeShazo in motion. They'll fake the give to him. Miller will keep it himself. Trying to get around the edge, right side he does. He's inside the 40 before he tiptoes out of bounds. He went out near the 39.
Well, and right away, I mean, he somehow scrambles out of 3 different Comets' reach. I mean, Anthony Litz as well as Mason Morales were 2 guys pretty close. Looked like they had him bracketed there, and instead he just scrambles along that sideline for a nice pickup.
Well, what a player. Cole Miller, a senior, 6'5", 230 pounds, 722 yards on the ground, 10 rushing touchdowns. Through the air, he's completed 54% of his passes, over 1,000 yards in that department as well, 10-18, 9 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Amherst showing pressure. Miller will grab the snap. They'll give it up the middle. And actually, he's going to keep it himself, taking it left side to about the 37. He had me fooled on that. He'll be about a yard shy, bringing up 3rd down.
Yeah, nice pump fake there to fool the defense for a moment, but even better job staying disciplined and staying home because they know he can do a lot with his legs, as he proved on the first play of the game.
Catching up with North Ridgeville head coach Brian Morgan a little earlier this week, and he had mentioned that he does have an NAIA offer on the table. You'd think a guy like that at 6'5", 230, the career he's had, he would be getting a lot more looks. That's a little surprising. 3rd down and short, low snap, and we've got whistles. It looks like somebody moved early. Indeed, they did, and that's going to cost North Ridgeville 5 yards.
Yeah, tough break. Tough to see who they called that on specifically, but it looked like Flesher was going to have a chance one-on-one in the hole there, one of the a few different guys we may see at the tailback spot tonight.
Yeah, they're pretty youthful there. I know when you guys were here for the opener, it was Zach Barnhart as he kind of ran roughshod over North Olmsted, but of course he's done for the season, so they have a couple of sophomores. Next up on that depth chart, Matt Flesher, one of those. Empty backfield for Miller, takes the low snap, facing some pressure, fires this one deep down the field. He's got DeShazo, makes the catch in stride and takes it into the end zone. Touchdown! Cole Miller to Dylan DeShazo. A 42-yard touchdown pass. And North Ridgeville fires the first shot. They're up 6-0.
And he just splits it right down the seam there. I mean, once he's beat the safeties on either side, there's no catching up to that.
Finley Keller on for the extra point to try and make it a 7-0 North Ridgeville advantage. High snap, Baker will put it down. The extra point is on the way and good. Some fireworks already. It's 7-0. North Ridgeville with the lead. Not quite 2 minutes gone off this first quarter clock on the Lorain County Sports Network. After a surprise onside that was recovered by North Ridgeville at the 46-yard line, the Rangers end up scoring on third down and long, a 42-yard touchdown pass from Cole Miller to Dylan DeShazo. They have the early 7-0 lead with 10:43 to go. Here in the first quarter, Keller will kick this one down the right hash. It'll be picked up right around the 19-yard line, scooting past the 30 and up to about the 35. And not bad field position for Amherst to begin their first drive of the game.
Especially not considering they had 10 guys up near midfield, almost expecting another surprise kick right there, but pretty solid return. And now obviously the Rangers stole a possession, but here's your chance to settle in and get everybody back under control if you're Cy Christensen in this offense.
Well, that can certainly send shockwaves through you at the beginning of a game like that when you're showing an onside kick and all of a sudden you give it up very deep. Christensen in the shotgun. He's got a couple of backs he works with. It's Peyton Gillis to start, but they'll also mix in Mike Passarello, who of course spent last year with the Midview Middies. Christensen calls for the snap. He gets it. They'll give to Gillis. He was hit initially, but he plows forward up to the 36. Looked like they had him at the line of scrimmage, but he was able to get out of one tackle and pick up 2 yards.
And right there, the Rangers, despite the spread formation, they're committing to the box right now. It looks like they're going to dare the Amherst offense to beat them through the air.
They've got Charles and Duziak lined up in the near side. Duziak in the slot at the bottom of your screen. Both have been key components in this passing game. Christensen will give it again to Gillis, and Gillis is wrestled down after a 1-yard gain.
Yeah, Frank Brady off of the edge that time did a good job playing kind of both. He played the slot receiver and the run contain and forces this 3rd and long here. And he's a guy that he wasn't a starter at the beginning of the season, but here in his senior campaign has really come on as a impactful player on that defense.
North Ridgeville defense has forced 13 turnovers on the year. They've been opportunistic. Max mentioned that Brian Strippy, with the 5 interceptions, certainly a number that you highlight. They're showing some pressure. Play action fake. Christensen back to pass. Rolling out. He's in some trouble. Looking down the field. He fires it out of bounds toward that far sideline. And that means 4th down is coming up for the Comets.
And it looked like he might have had David Duziak early on in the route concept there, but Nolan Gill, good job by the Ranger linebacker, kind of drifting back into where that 10-yard in range was. It would have been enough for the first down, but you don't want to risk throwing it into a tight window like that.
Opening snap of each half is brought to you by Janasco Insurance. The protection you need, the service you deserve. That's Janasco Insurance. Christensen will get a nice booming punt away. It bounces at the 30. It'll go along the hash inside the 15-yard line. It's still going. And it'll finally stop dead in its tracks right around the 10-yard line. Great punt by Cy Christensen.
He averages around 32 per punt on the season, and it went a lot further than that.
Well, it got a real nice bounce, too. Took a pretty good roll. I want to say it hit just past the 30-yard line. Carter Clark kind of got turned around because I think if he was in a good spot where that hit, he was thinking about picking it up.
Yeah.
But that ball rolled a good 20 yards.
And that's that risk reward you want to play right now with the lead and possibly going further into your own territory. He just holds off.
1st and 10 at their own 10-yard line. Miller back to pass, fires near side, caught by Duke Baker, tight ropes the sideline, steps out of bounds close to the 17.
That's a real nice, easy completion to start the drive as Duke Baker, I mean, he's a pretty lengthy guy at 6'2". Just kind of give him a chance over there close to the sideline. And even though the sideline can sometimes be an extra defender, definitely was not there as he had enough separation to go get that one.
Second drive of the game for the Rangers. Didn't have to go too far on that opening drive of theirs after recovering the onside kick. They'll hand this one off inside. Not a lot of room to operate as that interior of the Amherst defensive line was able to close the gap quickly. And, Max, that's a group that isn't especially huge. Anderson, Malloy, Cameron, Barrios, Anthony Litz, and they'll mix a few guys in there as well. They may not be big, but they're pretty quick.
Yeah, and they're a tenacious group. It's a lot to handle for even the most experienced offensive line, and it also requires a lot of good communication to see if they're stunting or if they're moving around.
Third down coming up. Second third down opportunity. Pressure coming. Pass goes near side. It's caught by Cole Allison. He takes a big shot before going out of bounds, but that will be enough to move the sticks. He took a big licking at the end of that play by Mike Passarello.
And that's a really heads-up play. You talk about maybe some stunting or movement. You didn't know who was blitzing, who was dropping into coverage right there, and it left Tyler Den untouched off the edge, and Cole Miller just throws right into that blitz, finds his receiver, and they move the chains.
In that defensive front, we talked about how they were undersized in the two games we had them last year. They have a lot of guys still in the mix, but they're playing slightly different spots. Pass goes left side to DeShazo. DeShazo is hit and dropped near the 27. No gain in the play. Amherst was able to pick that up pretty quickly.
Yeah, and like you were getting at, it just speaks to how unselfish a lot of these guys are. They're willing to move around. Somewhere at safety like Den, and he moves up to linebacker. You also got Fellenstein, who was an edge rusher primarily, but now he kind of anchors that defense from the middle.
It's kind of got that Micah Parsons-like versatility,
Yeah.
right? He can rush off the edge. You can put him in the middle if you want. And Fellenstein was in pretty good shape last year. He's added some muscle in the offseason. Second down and long. Miller will hand this one off again. Lots of room to run. Taken down the left hash. Off to the races is Matt Flesher, and he's tackled inside the Amherst 40 near the 37 for a first down.
And so far in this game, there really hadn't been much going on the ground. They haven't tried to do it that often, but it was mainly with Cole Miller, and right there, Flesher provides a bit of a boost and kickstarts this drive into plus territory.
Came sprinting off to the near sideline, very excited. Now, when you guys saw them in the opener, he was a slot receiver, but they've had to insert him into that running game. He will be spelled here by Luke Bartell. He's about 2 yards behind Miller. Miller will feed Bartell, working left side, collides with the defensive front near the 35, and that's about a 2-yard gain.
And now looks like they're trying to establish a bit more of that interior run game, and they've got the offensive line to do it, that's for sure. They just, at certain points of the season, haven't had to, or maybe they find themselves in shootouts. In a spot like this, when you're leading and maybe trying to find a couple different guys to take over the workhorse role, they might have a couple. We'll see how this plays out tonight.
Well, this offense is clicking right away. Here on senior night, Coach Morgan mentioned to us during the Buckeye Community Bank Coaches Corner, 32 seniors on this roster. Miller rolling out, looking down the field. He stops, reverses field. He gets out of a tackle at the 48, launches this one down the field, has a man wide open, and he dropped it at the 5-yard line. He had Mason Allison open at the 5. There was no one anywhere around him. And the incompletion will bring up third and long.
Man, missed opportunity there. What a great job by Miller to keep that play alive, though. And unfortunately for Allison, I mean, that was a situation where sometimes you figuratively say, oh, the ball hung up there. It felt like forever. Right there it did, because he literally had to wait for Miller to get away, be able to set his feet again, and let that one go. And that almost likely would have been a touchdown.
And it looked like it was Tyler Den, once again, who nearly had Miller in the backfield. He had him at the 48-yard line, but Miller was able to escape. Pressure coming up the middle. Miller fires right side, caught by DeShazo. He is hit at the 29, but he's able to fight forward up to the 27. It'll be close. Let's see where they spot this. And the official on the far side tells the chain gang to move forward 10 yards.
And that little play out to the flats, it wasn't necessarily a screen, but with how quickly Miller gets it out, Allison starts lead blocking. It almost works as an extension of the run game, and just keeps this drive humming along now.
The drive began back at their own 10-yard line. This is the 9th play of the drive. Flesher off the left hip with the quarterback Miller. Miller will keep it himself, trying to extend it to the far sideline. Duziak holds him up, and the rest of the gang will get there to knock him down. No gain on the play.
Well, what a way to set the edge. Not only did he do that, but he got off the block as it appeared to Miller, I'm going to have the speed to get around him, and Duziak breaks off of DeShazo's block and buys time for everybody else to show up.
And they'll actually say he maybe lost a hair on that. 2nd down and 10 coming up for the Rangers. A 4-receiver look. Flesher, the tailback. Cole Miller wants that shotgun snap. Drops back to pass. Fires left side. Has a man open. DeShazo makes the catch again, stepping out of bounds. Right around the 20-yard line. So they get 7. And another 3rd down scenario entering play tonight. They were hitting 3rd downs at a 36% clip.
And a spot like this, it certainly feels a lot more higher percentage, but without a true experienced running back there besides Miller, it brings a couple more of these into question. Got to imagine he'll do something with it here.
Well, there was some shifting up front, and somebody moved early for North Ridgeville. That's the 2nd time they've been dinged for a false start penalty tonight.
Well, and funny enough for them, the last time they did the following play, they went for a touchdown. No guarantee that happens again, but it almost looked like Miller was going to set up for an audible. And I guess a couple of the linemen or somebody up front moved in a way that looked like a false start.
This pushes the ball halfway between the 26 and 27-yard lines. 3rd and long scenario coming up for the Rangers again. 3 receivers lined up at the bottom of your screen. Miller rolls out to that side, surveying the field. He'll throw this one to the near side. A nice catch is made along the near sideline, and that was Cole Allison who hauled it in. He got to it near the 18, and the initial spot looked short.
Allison's first catch of the night. He's done some dirty work with the lead blocking, and then, definitely not a bad play for a big quarterback here on 4th and short.
Yeah, Allison's a guy they'll mix in with that running game as well. He's actually rushed for 3 touchdowns this year, 153 yards on the ground. 4th down and short. Empty backfield. Cole Miller will send the man in motion. It's Flesher. 3 seconds to work with on the play clock. Miller keeps it himself. Gets across the left edge. He's inside the 10, and he dances his way into the end zone. Touchdown, Rangers. On 4th and short, it's a 17-yard touchdown dash for Cole Miller, and the Rangers have a 13-0 lead.
Well, and every time they find themselves in these conversion spots, I expect them to play it a little safe. You got a 6'5", 230 guy. Back in my book, you put him under center and see how far he can take the pile. Right there, he uses some of that finesse and speed to hit the off tackle and sprints his way to 6.
Finley Keller on for the extra point, and he will pound it through the uprights to make it 14-0. North Ridgeville with the advantage, 5.5 minutes to play here in the first quarter. Live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. An incredible drive for the North Ridgeville Rangers. They go 90 yards on a dozen plays, and they scored a 17-yard touchdown rush from Cole Miller on 4th and short. 14-0 Rangers, just over 5.5 minutes to play in the first quarter. Finley Keller with the kickoff. This will bounce at about the 24-yard line. Ball is on the turf, body scrambling for it, and the Comets will recover it. Well, Mike Passarello was going after that ball after it hit the turf, and it looked like he had some company there as well with Nick Wilkinson also trying to smother that. And this is just our second look at this Amherst offense tonight.
Yeah, and they already find themselves down a couple possessions, and obviously we know their passing game is pretty effective, but they don't like to have to play in catch-up mode or feel the need to turn it into a track meet, as they like to use the run option with both their quarterback Cy and a couple different running backs.
Cy Christensen operating out of the shotgun here. He's got 4 receivers at his disposal. Christensen having an outstanding senior season. Of course, his first year in a Comet uniform after playing with the Clearview Clippers. They'll hand it off to Passarello. Passarello trying to get across the edge on the far side, and he's able to get up to maybe the 20-yard line.
And at this point in the game, obviously you want to be able to score at any means possible, but if you can keep your defense off the field a little bit, force that Ranger offense to stay on the sideline and maybe force them to go slightly colder.
Passarello and Gillis both see a decent chunk of snaps. In the Comet backfield, Passarello, a senior, 6'1", 185. Two-way player. He's also the free safety for Amherst. Cy Christensen will drop back to pass. Looking down the field, nothing doing there. He's going to heave this one toward the far sidelines, incomplete. He was looking for Wilkinson, but that was covered very well by North Ridgeville.
Yeah, the Rangers so far are doing a good job almost passing off these receivers. So they're in a form of man, but it's really just passing it along the field so that way their guy doesn't have to keep up for too long, and there's always going to be another Ranger rolling over, and it's causing some problems so far tonight.
Staring down the barrel of 3rd down and 8 for Amherst. They're at their own 20-yard line. They have run just 5 offensive plays tonight. Christensen came into this game with 1,400 yards through the air. Takes the high shotgun snap. Blitz picked up, throws down the middle. Passes caught for first down yardage at the 30-yard line. And taken down near the 31 is Peyton Liebacker. And that'll move the sticks for the Comets.
And a huge sigh of relief comes out of not just the fans or the players, but the coaching staff as well. They see one go through, so to speak, and a good job by Cy moving around in that pocket to create a little more time to find Liebacker.
Liebacker with his 24th grab of the year. He's Amherst's leading receiver. Came into this game with 460 yards in the receiving game. Christensen will grab the snap. They'll hand off to Passarello. He tries the middle and maybe got up to the 35, so they get just a couple yards.
And on plays like that, that's where the experience up front comes into play is Braden Laszlo. I mean, whether it was a read or not, he did a good job staying home, setting the edge, and then squeezing that play down, limiting it to only 3.
2nd down and 7 for the Comets. And most of this game, North Ridgeville has had the ball. Kind of set the tone early with that surprise onside. They'll send Liebacker in motion. Christensen facing pressure. He gets sacked back at the 24-yard line. Pressure was coming off the edge by Braden Laszlo, and he sacks him for a huge loss.
Well, the last time we saw North Ridgeville out there on offense, Amherst did a version of that where they put a bunch of guys up front on the line. You didn't know who was coming and who was dropping into coverage right there. The Rangers do it themselves, and they send almost everybody. I think Ryan Anderson was the only guy to leak back into coverage, and there's just not enough guys there to block.
They've got a long ways to go here on 3rd down. But this is an offense that can certainly cover a lot of ground. They can pick up lots of chunks of yardage in a short amount of time. Play clock inside of 5. Pressure coming from Brady. It's picked up. Christensen on the run. And Christensen is corralled at the 24-yard line. Well, Max, I think he got to the 25 and realized that he had to throw it because he had already crossed the line of scrimmage. And at that point, it was too late. That North Ridgeville defense collapsed on him.
Yeah, and a good pump fake there to avoid any kind of penalty yardage, but just rolling to the short side of the field, and unfortunately around 3 guys there. So even if he did see a window and he hadn't passed the line of scrimmage, yeah, there's a good chance that ball's either going to get batted or hit before he lets it go, and even more disastrous scenario could have happened.
Carter Clark back deep to receive. High punt. Christensen pulls it down. A high Wobbler retrieved at the 47 by Clark. Clark fights up to about the Amherst 43-yard line. So once again, North Ridgeville will have really good field position.
They've taken advantage each time. That's the biggest part of that. And, you know, we talked about in the pregame, we expected Amherst maybe to be on the plus side of some turnovers or some mistakes of that nature. And so far, the Rangers have been all over it here on senior night.
We've talked about the importance of this game for both teams. You know, for Amherst, I don't think there's any scenario that exists where if they lose this one tonight that they're going to the playoffs. They have to win this one. That would score them some serious points against a team that, as of right now anyways, is a lot higher. As a matter of fact, 11 spots higher in the region. But they're certainly up against it here. Back to pass Miller. All kinds of time to throw. Looking down the field, now he's in some trouble. He's able to step away from the pressure, and he throws it a little bit short of his intended target at the 31-yard line. He had DeShazo in the area, but I think he was happy just to get rid of that.
Certainly, and it's one thing if you have speed and you're a great athlete. It's another thing entirely to be savvy in a pocket, not be panicked like he could have there, as it looked like everybody was closing in on him, and he's heading towards the sideline. Somehow even throws a ball that may have been in the vicinity to be caught. So even though it ended in incompletion, quite the scramble right there.
He's shown that ability all throughout his career here. They'll hand it off inside to Flesher. He's got room to run. He's dragged on inside the 40. They'll spot him down at the 37-yard line. That may not seem like much, but he was able to burst through that hole and still pick up about 6 yards.
Yeah, he gets enough to stay on schedule there, which is key against this Amherst defense, which is going to throw a lot of different looks at you. So a 3rd and 10, trying to diagnose that and buy time for Miller as he buys time for himself. It's a lot tougher than what they're going to face up here.
This Ranger offense has looked really sharp all night long. Got a minute and 20 seconds left on this first quarter clock. Empty backfield. 3rd down coming up for the Rangers. Miller back to pass. Amherst rushing. This is thrown down the field. He's got a man open. The pass falls incomplete. North Ridgeville was asking for a flag. They do not get one, and now it'll be 4th down and 4.
And in the first quarter alone, Miller's thrown for 79 yards tonight. That time, the Comets only decided to blitz 3. They decide, you know what, we're going to keep everything in front of us. And right there, even if there was a little bit of contact, he was step for step with them, and it's definitely a tough bang-bang play right there.
I think it was incidental. At least it looked like that as we were kind of looking at the monitor here. No surprise, they'll keep the offense on the field. They've got to get just past the 33-yard line to keep this drive alive. 4th down for North Ridgeville. Miller drops back. Pressure coming. Throws near side. The pass goes incomplete. And that time, Tyler Den had the coverage. He was stride for stride with Cole Allison. And North Ridgeville will turn it over on downs. A huge win for that Amherst defense.
Yeah, and it looked like that one may have even been out of reach of his target there. And it's fortunate they got rid of it and turned over on downs, because there was a defender for Amherst coming off his blind side there, and he gets contact with him. Who knows, maybe the play's still going right now.
Well, and that's a big test passed by the Comet defense, because that drive began at the 43-yard line after a nice kick, or I should say a nice punt return by Carter Clark. 3rd go-around for the Amherst offense. They have the ball at their own 37-yard line. Cy Christensen will hand it off to Gillis. Gillis, nowhere to go up the middle. He was stood up near the 39, so they'll give him a couple of yards on that, but just not much.
And that's thanks to Ashton Cassetto at that defensive end spot. I mean, the way he took on the pulling blocker right there, that is textbook. Every coach that sees that will point to that and say, that's how you do it. That's how you. Now, granted, not a lot of defensive ends maybe have the amount of size he has to work with, but what a hit.
The middle's been stopped, especially tonight for the Ranger defense. You mentioned Ashton Cassetto, 6'1", 245. Also in the middle, Christian Ensley at 6'1", 275. Cy Christensen on a design keeper. Can't get across the corner. He's tackled by Nolan Gill. North Ridgeville's leading tackler came in with 69 stops on the season. And it'll be 3rd down and long for the Comets.
Well, that's just a great job to flow with the defense there, not get upfield too quickly or try to come in underneath the play. He just strings it out to the sideline and ends this quarter with a nice tackle.
At the end of one, it's all North Ridgeville. Rangers leading Amherst 14-0, live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. Big third down scenario coming up for Amherst. It's 3rd down and 9 for the Comets at their own 38. Christensen fires to the near side. Had a man open, but he undershot him. It's incomplete, looking for Nate Wilkinson. And he certainly had more than just a step on his defender. But that pass was just undershot by Cy Christensen, something you don't normally see because they certainly would have had first down yardage. And now they will be forced to punt it away again.
Yeah, it was a great route pattern set up there as he had Peyton Liebacker on a slant, kind of taking away a couple defenders, and like you said, leaving Wilkinson one-on-one, just missed him, and that's been the case tonight.
Christensen will get the punt away. Clark comes up and loses the ball. It's on the turf right around the 39-yard line, and I believe North Ridgeville jumped on it. They did. So Carter Clark avoids a near disaster because that certainly would have lit a fire on that far sideline, and that's a sideline that kind of needs one right now.
Yeah, they need something to go their way here. One of these bounces of balls or a mistake from North Ridgeville. Very narrowly avoids it there, and heads up play by Reese Winkle, who serves as a reserve player at linebacker and on the defensive line. So good job there in special teams to make sure it stays with North Ridgeville.
Rangers have it at their own 39-yard line. This offense, 2 trips to the end zone. In 3 tries, they'll send a man in motion. It's DeShazo. He takes the handoff across the 40, gets to the sideline. He's off to the races. He's at the Amherst 30, and he's shoved out of bounds inside the 20-yard line. DeShazo with a monster run on the reverse. And they're set up inside the red zone. Brought to you by Steve Lawson of Russell Real Estate Services. Selling or buying soon? Visit superstevesells.com.
Yeah, you can't teach speed like that. As soon as he found a lane to the outside, he took it, and I'm surprised he was caught along that sideline.
About a 32-yard gain. Cole Miller looking. Left side. Pass falls incomplete. We've got flags flying everywhere just before that pass was sent along the numbers on the near side. And it looks like a sideline warning going against North Ridgeville.
And they're a little amped up there after the big run. Fortunately, that one won't cost them anything, but something to keep an eye on here.
Result of the play was an incomplete pass, so it's still 2nd down and 10, as Max mentioned. They fire a warning shot for that sideline warning. 2nd time you get dinged 5. Nobody in the backfield with Miller. 3 receivers to the far side. He's got 2 lined up near side left. They'll send Matt Flesher, the sophomore tailback, back into the backfield. Miller on a keeper, has room up the middle, and he gets twisted down by Patrick Fellenstein near the 13.
Well, I'm shocked that play like that. They bring Flesher back into the backfield, but nobody for Amherst reacted, and it left only 5 guys there, and Miller had 6 to block for him. With the way he's been running the ball tonight, I'm very surprised they didn't react or bring more help up there.
They say his knee went down at the 14. Still, you get a handful of yards, and now it's a 3rd manageable scenario, though at this spot on the field. Sure seems as though if they don't get it here, they'll get at least one more crack at it. I don't think you're going to see a field goal unit trot out there. It'll be a keeper by Miller again. Miller corralled to the line of scrimmage and nowhere to go. Had to do lots of dancing around because of the penetration on the right side of that Amherst defensive front. Brody Glick got in there to make the stop amongst many others, setting up fourth down.
Yeah, and you read my mind right there as Glick finished off the play. Mason Morales helping stand up some linemen at the point of attack, and it led to some indecisiveness there. We don't see that too often from Miller. Good job forcing fourth down there by this Comet defense.
Well, they forced North Ridgeville to turn the ball over on downs the last time they had the ball. Can they do it again here and keep it at 14-0? Flesher, the tailback, 2 yards behind Miller. Miller rolling out to the far side, facing some pressure, throws this one to the sideline, incomplete. Great coverage down the field by that Amherst secondary, and for the second straight time, that Amherst defense answers the bell.
Yeah, and they've been trying a couple times now throughout the night to roll Miller, especially on those big plays on 3rd and 4th down. Right there, Fellenstein blitzed right into where they were rolling, and it's pretty hard for anybody in this county to get away from him when he's got a full head of steam.
10:09 left in the first half. Amherst Comets will take over here at their own 14-yard line, trying to get something going offensively. It's been slim pickings on that side of things for the Comets, but that's because this North Ridgeville defense, as you mentioned during one of our breaks, really kind of playing with their hair on fire right now.
Yeah, they came out ready.
Amped up in front of this crowd here for their last home game of the regular season. Christensen will hand off near side to Gillis. Gillis is tackled at the 16-yard line. Couldn't quite turn the corner. He did pick up 2. And Max, it seems like a couple of yards have been there for him, just not a whole lot more than that so far in the running game.
Yeah, and I think even when they do get past the first level of the defense there's just too many guys swarming to the ball right now, and it's been tough for the offensive line to get up to that second level of the linebackers and for some of these receivers to stay on their blocks.
Plenty of time to work with on this play clock for Cy Christensen as he looks toward that far sideline. It's now down to 10. And they don't appear to be in any kind of hurry here. Christensen wants Gillis off his left side. Now they've got to hurry. 3 seconds, 2 seconds. They'll get that snap off. Christensen rolling out, looking down the field, fires. Duziak couldn't make the grab. Carter Clark put a pretty big stick on him at the end of the play to keep him from hauling that in. And it's 3rd down for the Comets.
Yeah, North Ridgeville is not doing anything to make it any easier. I mean, that's a tough throw across your body with some pressure. And then also, I mean, a lot of these receivers who are very used to getting open and finding some gaps in coverage, they're just not able to get much separation here tonight, and that's a testament to that North Ridgeville secondary.
The passing game, it just doesn't seem like the timing's where it needs to be for Amherst. The timing certainly seems to be a little bit off. Trying to rediscover the fire that's been there for most of the year. Play clock inside of 3 now. Christensen will drop back on 3rd down. Facing some pressure. He's in some trouble. He gets sacked at the 2-yard line. Nolan Gill got to him for his 3rd sack of the season.
A lot of long developing routes there, clearly. I mean, you were in a 3rd and around 12 situation to go there, or excuse me, 3rd and 8. So Cy clearly trying to wait to let those set up, and there was just too much pressure for that.
On a drive that began back at their own 14-yard line, they'll send this snap back from their own 5, so they're pushed backwards on this drive, and now Christensen will have to punt this out of his own end zone. Carter Clark waiting for this, a high snap. Somehow Christensen pulls it down. He's going to run it. Cy Christensen takes it past the 15, angles inside past the 20, leaps forward. He got awfully close. Did he get that first down? He got very close to the 25.
And it's going to depend on where they say that leg landed on his dive attempt, I guess.
And they may need to bring the chain gang out to see if he got this or not. And now, our head referee, Eric Metzger, is talking this over. And they say he did not get enough for the first down.
Well, I'll tell you what, right there, just saw on that replay, it looked like he extended to the 19 at least. That's a tough break for Amherst. And I'm not sure if that flag may have come into play, but that's going to be a tough one to swallow, especially on film the next day.
Well, yeah, they didn't indicate that there was a penalty of any sort. You're right, there was a flag on the field, then it was picked up. 8:18 to go in the first half. And outstanding field position again for North Ridgeville. They'll take over at the 23 of Amherst. They give it to Flesher. Breaks a tackle. Still on his feet. Gets inside the 10, and he's tackled near the 8.
And now they've got a lot of momentum. Their legs are obviously fresher, and they're just a little more enthused right now. It's showing right there on that first play.
Well, there are a couple of things that stand out. I mean, the spot on that scramble from Christensen on a snap that was high and sent things haywire. The onside kick, of course, as well. They'll hand it off to Flesher. Flesher takes it straight up the middle. He's tackled at the 5-yard line. Mason Morales and a couple of others combined to make that stop.
And on a drive like this, in a situation like this, you know this coaching staff for North Ridgeville, it's more than just about getting some points on the board. It's about trying to break the spirit here because you're very close to taking this to a 3-possession lead.
Second down and goal. I beg your pardon, second down. At the 5-yard line, direct snap goes to Miller. Miller plunges his way forward. He's awfully close, and he is in for the touchdown. Third touchdown of the game for Cole Miller, the second one on the ground. And it's 20-0 North Ridgeville with 7:17 to play in the second quarter.
In the sequence of events we just saw on the punt on 4th down, turning it around into this offensive drive, it's really just kind of summed up the game to this point. A fortunate break and finding a way to get the ball back on defense and special teams and punching it in pretty quickly.
Finley Keller's extra point is good. 21-0 North Ridgeville here on their final game at home in the regular season with 7:17 to go here on the Lorain County Sports Network. Miller time here in North Ridgeville. Cole Miller with 2 rushing touchdowns. He also has a TD pass as well. He has been all over the place tonight. This North Ridgeville offense has been very opportunistic. They lead 21-0 over Amherst with 7:17 to go in the second quarter. Glad to have this one for you on our Legacy Home Finance Game of the Week. Finley Keller, an onside kick again. This is bouncing around at the 48-yard line. There's a flag thrown at the North Ridgeville 48. For the time being, the Rangers have recovered it, but let's see what the laundry is all about. Where that was thrown, it's in the area where somebody usually gets across the line too early.
It looked like there may have been a couple different Rangers to choose from there. We'll see here in a moment. Yeah, there was at least 2 closer to us that they were supposed to be part of the wrecking crew to get everybody out of the way. They may have gotten a head start. We'll see if the officials see it that way. I almost wondered if maybe there was going to be an illegal touching, but it appeared to me to that 50. Wow.
An unsportsmanlike conduct penalty going against Amherst. That's a little bizarre based on where that flag was initially thrown.
Yeah, it's, of course, a tough break right there. And obviously the officials maybe on the Amherst side, maybe he was in their ear trying to tell them as it was happening, but maybe it carried over a little too far after the play and the whistle had been blown. So either way, Comet's got to find a way to respond here.
Still a lot of time left, but it's 7:15 The way things are going, it sure seems like things are kind of hanging in the balance here. After the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, North Ridgeville has it at the Amherst 34-yard line.
You know, some of these short fields maybe have limited how many yards North Ridgeville's been able to get, but they're at around 8 yards a play right now.
Jeez. Cole Miller drops back, has lots of time, throws it down the sideline, and the pass falls incomplete, looking for Mason Allison.
Well, they just missed out on connecting a couple drives ago on what could have been a touchdown right there. They try to go back to him. And just a tad too much on that ball.
Well, and why not? You get another onside kick, you tack a penalty on top of that. You got to try and go for the jugular, right?
Yeah, and that's what a lot of coaches like to do, especially now where you maybe try to catch somebody napping.
North Ridgeville has recovered 2 onside kicks tonight. They'll hand it off to Bartell, and Bartell's able to plunge forward to the 32. A flag came in at the very end, and the early indication is that that's going on the Rangers.
Yeah, it appeared right in the middle of that line there. And, you know, I think Cole Miller kind of holding it in place for a while. You got to, if you're an offensive lineman, you got to try to do your job a little bit longer than you're used to. You know, normally you maybe get a couple, 2-3 seconds, maybe try to angle somebody off. But when the ball's held for that long, you can only do so much.
So bring it back to the 44. So it's 2nd down and 20 after the hold against the Rangers. Luke Bartell is the tailback. Miller will send a man in motion. Looking in the flat, and he just fires it at the feet of Cole Allison. Well, he had pressure in his face. There was some heat coming from the nose tackle, Cameron Barrios, and that forced Miller to get rid of it quickly.
Yeah, and he was almost locked into that receiver. He had a couple guys on some streak routes down the field, but there were a few linemen that kind of gotten close to the 40-yard line almost, even further. So he had no choice but to go to the flats and hope that Allison caught it behind the line of scrimmage to avoid a second straight penalty.
Nobody in the backfield for Miller. They've done this before, and then they'll send a man in motion to join him in the backfield. But right now, pressure looks like it could be coming from Amherst. Miller facing some heat, rolling out to the near side, looking down the field, and that pass falls incomplete. Had heat once again, this time from Anthony Litz. Patrick Fellenstein also applying some pressure, and that forced Miller to get rid of it, bringing up 4th down. And I don't think we can say enough great things about the Amherst defense. They pass a huge test there when it looked like there was a chance for the Rangers to go for the jugular. They don't allow North Ridgeville to advance at all. As a matter of fact, they push them back 10 yards.
Yeah, maybe help out your special teams unit and then the offense as a result. Because of the success North Ridgeville's been having, it's kind of masked it, but that's 8 straight incompletions now for this offense.
Well, they forced the Rangers to punt it away for the first time tonight. Wilkinson lets that bounce at the 5, and that will go into the end zone for a touchback. We've talked a lot about the field position for North Ridgeville. The last drive began at the 34 of Amherst. They took over at their own 14-yard line. They also took over at the 43 and at the 46 of Amherst. I mean, they've started almost a handful of drives now inside Amherst territory.
Yeah, and that's how, I believe anyway, I'm trying to do my math here. That's how we're still with 6.5 to go in the second quarter, and what felt like a lot has happened here, but not too much time has come off the board because of these shorter fields.
Comets have it at their own 20-yard line. Christensen throws left side. It's caught. It's hauled in by Duziak at the 35. He's tackled near the 37-yard line. A quick little slant across the middle there, and they pick up a big chunk.
And, you know, sometimes you don't want your quarterbacks to read or forecast where you're going, but right there you got rid of it so quickly and a good release off the line. It worked out perfect.
Flag at the 25-yard line. And our head referee, Eric Metzger, is talking to both North Ridgeville and he's talking to Amherst. We have personal foul penalties. And it looks like those are going to offset. It goes on both sides. It's been that kind of night for Amherst. Or are they going to offset? He initially mentioned that they were going to offset. So after doing a personal foul on both sides, I guess the play will still count.
And you needed that one if you're Amherst. It feels like a lot of stuff's gone against you tonight or hasn't broken your way. Right there they did. We'll see if they can take advantage.
So it's first down and 10 for the Comets. Cy Christensen moving the chess pieces around. He's got Passarella with him. Pressure coming from the middle. Christensen steps up. He's going to run past the 40-yard line. He's able to angle his way to the near side. He's inside North Ridgeville territory. Zip-zaps his way through the 20. He's off to the races. He's going to score. Oh, what a run by Cy Christensen. He gets the Comets on the board. It's a 63-yard touchdown dash, zigzagging this way and that. And Christensen will get the Comets to Bay Dirt for the first time tonight.
You said it, partner. What a run. And look at the way he navigates that pocket. I thought that was going to be enough. Get enough, keep the drive moving along. Not only does he do that, he pulls out his do-it-yourself kit, follows some blocks, and goes all the way. That's why he's also the leading rusher on this team. It's not by accident. What a play.
What a run by Cy Christensen to energize that far sideline. Extra point is on the way, and it is good. So now it's a 21-7 ball game. Amherst narrows the deficit down to 14 with 5:46 to play in the second quarter on the Lorain County Sports Network. Cy Christensen bobs and weaves and much more on his way into the end zone on a 63-yard touchdown scramble. It'll be Jack Coleman to tee it up at the 40-yard line for the Comets to kick it back to North Ridgeville. Coleman will kick this away, high end over end kick. It's retrieved by DeShazo near the 7-yard line. He's out past the 20, finds a seam. He gets to the 40-yard line and he's tackled by Coleman. Went down near the 43-yard line. Coleman had some help from Brody Bottomley as well to make that stop.
Well, it pays off that your kicker is also a starter on that defense. It pays off huge that time. But once again, it's a story as old as time tonight. Another great starting field position for North Ridgeville.
Well, special teams always seem to find a way to have an effect on these kinds of games, where for the case of Amherst, playoff chances are hanging in the balance. And for North Ridgeville, prime payoff seeding certainly at stake. Cole Miller will grab the snap. It'll be a keeper, has room to run right side. He's able to get past the 50-yard line, and it takes a couple of Comets to bring him down near the 44 for a first down.
Yeah, a play like that to start the drive almost feels like, okay, let's remind everybody I can run a little bit too as Miller scampers ahead. And that's just a heads-up play. The only 3 down linemen that time from Amherst, and they attacked it.
Spot him down at the 45. It just feels like North Ridgeville has had the ball so much here tonight that Amherst offense just hasn't had a chance to find a rhythm or get on track. 2 men in the backfield with Miller. And they'll hand it off to Bartell, but he had nowhere to go. Tripped up by Mason Morales. No gain on the play.
And Morales was a guy mentioned by name by Coach Thome, and for good reason. I mean, not only one of their top tacklers on the defense, but right there making a huge play. And they need a couple more stops like that here as this second quarter gets closer to an ending.
Morales, 6'2", 205-pound senior. Entering play tonight, 86 total stops, 3 tackles for a loss, 3 sacks, 2 interceptions. Low snap, kind of bounced its way back toward Miller. Miller trying to get to the far side. He's knocked out of bounds. And it looks like he may have got to the 42. Well, let's wait and see the official spot. The 42 would be really impressive because of how that way started. Now they say he stepped out at the 44. That makes more sense.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell from over here he was able to bulldoze his way forward. I was like, that close to the sideline to be able to pull out the truck and a tightrope. That you don't see that too often.
And that snap kind of one-hopped him. It was amazing he was able to get positive yardage out of that. 4:25 left in the second quarter. It's 3rd down and 9 for North Ridgeville. They send DeShazo in motion to the near side. Miller drops back, has time, throws across the middle. The pass falls incomplete. Looking for Cole Allison. Duziak was on the coverage. And the incompletion brings up 4th down.
Well, that throw was coming in hot, but it had to be a couple different defenders closing in. Like you said, Duziak, one of them is all he had time to do was really look off to DeShazo, pump fake it to him, and then try his best to get it to Allison. But another impressive stand by this Amherst defensive unit.
Couple of really big ones to force punts on their last 2 series. Finley Keller ready to punt it away. They had Wilkinson back there to retrieve the punt last time. Keller will get this one away. A high spiraling kick. Wilkinson will let that bounce to the 10-yard line. Actually takes a nice Amherst bounce back to the 15-yard line where it's down.
And normally, you like a bit of backspin on the punts. It's pretty impressive that he has it, but not enough Rangers over there to help cut it off. And for Amherst, you got to take small victories like that every time you get them.
Right you are, because this is a night where little to nothing has gone their way. And here they are still within striking distance. A 2-score game, down 21-7, 4:14 to play. We'll see if their offense can capitalize on that momentum that they established on that 63-yard touchdown rush from Cy Christensen just a few moments ago.
I'd like to think he's had enough time to catch his breath as well.
He'll take the snap, looking to pass, airs this one down the middle, looking for linebacker, incomplete. Well, Javon Harris was with him stride for stride down the field.
And that's what forced Christensen on the last drive to try to do it himself, was because there's just been a lot of good coverage tonight. And, they do have a real good trio of receivers, but right now they're not finding too much separation.
2nd and 10 coming up for the Comets. North Ridgeville defense has just smothered Amherst all night long with the exception of that last drive. Christensen wants the snap, he gets it. Fakes the give to Gillis. Fires left side, the pass falls incomplete. Looking for Duziak, and again, their timing was just off on that play. Max, even if Duziak catches that, he's going to go to the turf at the 20-yard line. They're only going to pick up a couple of yards.
Yeah, to leave his feet. And we saw that last drive where they tried to roll him out, throwing across his body to the left side of the formation. And they're just really tough far throws to make. And that time was one of the few instances where we saw a little bit of separation as there was nobody on him. So maybe go back to that, but once you're closer to that hash, that side of the field maybe.
3rd down and 10. Cy Christensen has the same personnel on the field. He'll take the snap, throws left side, a high pass hauled in by Cale Charles. Charles trying to step out of a tackle, but he's corralled at the 20-yard line. He's only able to get about 5. He'll be well short on 4th down.
Yeah, good job by Jaden Williams closing out there. As he lost him for a moment in coverage, but that was a heads-up play. He stayed right at the sticks and then made the tackle. It almost appeared like Charles was going to be able to get away from that. Desai gave him a chance to go make a play with his feet, but it was too good a pursuit by Williams that time.
This North Ridgeville defense has just been terrific all night long. Christensen takes another high snap, but he's able to get this away. Clark comes up to retrieve it at the 45-yard line. He gets hit right away by Mason Morales. Morales has to give him a bear hug and bring him down at the 45. For a moment, I thought we might see a Northern Lights suplex. Figured that might be what it took to bring Clark down.
Yeah, and that's because Clark was able to get some speed running up to that one, catching it on a line drive, and then you got to be bold to go after one of those.
North Ridgeville takes over with 3:46 to play in the second quarter, and again, they will start the drive inside Amherst territory. were forced to punt on their last couple of drives. Can this Amherst defense force them to do it again? Miller will keep it. He gets hit right away by Fellenstein, and the rest of the Amherst defense will come in to clean it up near the 43, so it's a 2-yard gain.
And, of course, we only saw the one game with Zach Barnhart back in week 1, but there's been just a lot of direct QB runs or QB sweeps here tonight or counters, not too much of the read option game with a running back next to him or anything like that. So, I mean, that just goes to show how much they trust him as a runner and expect to use him. But that Amherst defense, they've been ready for it the past couple times.
Miller again by himself in the backfield. Takes the snap. Pressure coming. Throws left side. The pass is knocked away. Incomplete. Jack Coleman on the denial was able to bat that away from Mason Allison.
And how about how perfectly he timed that, not getting there too soon and extending out to make contact with the ball. As it looks like Allison, I don't know if he's consulting about maybe he got there too soon, but he definitely didn't look like he did up here.
Another 3rd and long situation. And that's one thing that this Amherst defense has done a really good job of in the last 2 defensive series. They've put North Ridgeville in uncomfortable, long 3rd down scenarios.
And then as a result, they're forcing a lot of passes, and we haven't seen a completed pass in what feels like the entire, almost the length of the quarter, so it's stopping the clock, too, giving time for the offense.
Miller drops back, steps up in the pocket, heaves this one down the field, has a man open down there, and it's knocked away, incomplete. He had Duke Baker in the area, but Cole Lugar was able to knock that away in the end zone, bringing up 4th down.
I'm going to be honest, Bo, I don't even know if Lugar got his head around. He just happened to see when the receiver, Baker, was extending his arms for the ball, and he shot his arm in there. Looked like he ripped it or just batted it out. I mean, it didn't even look like he got his head around. That's incredible.
Put the forearm up there, almost as if he was Lex Luger and not Cole Lugar.
Got that right.
Finley Keller ready to punt away as this Amherst defense passes another big test. A high kick, bit of a wobbler. Wilkinson calling for a fair catch and somehow came down with it near the 14-yard line. That was a bit of a high wire act, but to his credit, he hung on to it.
Yeah, Keller's not making it easy to make choices back there tonight. As you know, they haven't asked for him to do much in the kicking game outside of the extra points. Maybe there were some spots he could have kicked field goals, but he's making it happen in the punting game right now.
I mean, he's really been one of the unsung heroes. The 2 onside kicks, the punting game has been incredible.
Right.
The hang time on that last punt, that would make it tough for Eric Metcalf to haul it.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure.
Comes the Amherst offense again, deep in their own territory. They'll hand it off to Passarello. Big hole up the middle. He was able to burst right through it. Gets inside the 35, and he's undercut at the 40-yard line. Jaden Williams finally caught up to him, but not until he picks up about 16 yards.
And in years past, he's been more of a runner, so this is obviously comfortable for him.
They get to the line quickly. They give it to Passarello again, and this time he is corralled and dropped near the 44.
And with just over 2 minutes till half, wonder how much more running we'll see. Obviously, the tempo is still in play, but right now, got to imagine the ball won't leave side's hands too many more times unless it's on a pass.
Both teams are armed with all 3 timeouts. 2:10 left on this second quarter clock. It's 21-14 North Ridgeville. Second down coming up. They'll send a man in motion. It'll be a design keeper. Christensen getting across the edge of the short side. He steps out of bounds near the 49. And it'll be 3rd and short here.
And the reason he was able to get out there, stop the clock, Anthony Litz as well as Passarello leading the way on that edge there and gets them within a yard. So now a lot more comfortable feeling here. You could go back to running the ball, and like you said, utilize some of those timeouts you got in your back pocket. Very favorable spot here for the Comets.
Did Mark Perez-Krewani of the Morning Journal say something about him? Because he almost ran him over on that near sideline.
Yeah, right.
Mark's only got positive things to say. We know that.
Thought I saw him out here tonight.
3rd down and short coming up. Christensen will grab the snap. They give to Passarello. He gets hit initially, and he gets dropped in the backfield. Braden Laszlo was the first one to corral him, and they will drop him for a loss of 1, and it's decision time for Amherst head coach Tom Thome.
And it appeared like that play took a little longer to develop than the Comets were expecting, and as a result, it brought Time for Ensley to come in off the back side of that play, and like you said, force a tough spot here now.
Well, they've got 15 seconds left on the play clock. The offense will stay on the field here. 4th down and 2 coming up for Amherst. Christensen takes the snap. He'll keep it himself. He gets hit, reaches forward. He's close, but it looks like he's going to be short. He got hit just past the 48, trying to extend the ball out to the 50-yard line, but he's going to be short.
So we talked about the last time he ran for it on 4th down. That case, he was the punter. He may have gotten it and not gotten the first down call, but right there, Carter Clark, don't leave it up to anybody else besides your defense as he comes in, and maybe when Christensen had a chance to extend, he comes in, delivers the final blow there right at the 49.
So yet again, they take over, albeit slightly this time, just inside Amherst territory. North Ridgeville does have all 3 timeouts to work with, and a timeout has been called by Amherst. Timeouts are brought to you by Lorain County Recorder Mike Durant. Servicing and organizing real estate documents, that's Lorain County Recorder Mike Durant. We'll take a timeout as well. 21-7. North Ridgeville leads Amherst. $1:11 to play in the second quarter on the Lorain County Sports Network. Coming out of the Amherst timeout. 1st down and 10 for the Rangers at the Comets' 49-yard line. Cole Miller looking to pass. Now he's going to tuck it. He's going to try and run, trying to get across the edge on the left side. He will go out of bounds near the 41, and there's a flag back at the 44-yard line. That's in the area where you typically see a hold.
And I know this play is going to come back, but the strides that Miller runs with, and just, I mean, he's just so calm out there. It looks like there's not a bunch of defenders chasing him down, trying to get after him. I mean, he just navigates really well around the pocket and at the line of scrimmage.
Our suspicion is confirmed. It's a hold going against the Rangers. This will put the ball at their 46-yard line. 1:04 left on the clock, and that will make it 1st down and 15. Rangers do have all 3 timeouts to work with. It's a flea flicker. Miller rolling out to the right, searching for someone down the field. The pass is hauled in near the 43-yard line. Passarello made the hit at the end of the play. They completed it to Mason Allison.
And I have no idea how he was able to corral that one because it was on his back shoulder. Normally on those out routes, you obviously want to see it thrown to as close to the sideline as you can, but it looked like he had to come back for it with the Comet defender on his back. What a catch.
And somehow, some way, Miller was able to avoid being sacked back at the 40-yard line. He drops back, facing pressure again, trying to step away from it. The pass falls incomplete at the 31-yard line, looking for Cole Allison. And there the strength is on display as he somehow got that pass away when it looked like he was going to be sacked to the 46.
Well, he escapes from Fellenstein, as no surprise there. We've called his name a lot, but also Isaac Vasquez coming in and trying to finish that one off. And like you said, he's able to get it away. And if those two weren't there in pursuit, he definitely had a man open.
Have to get to the 39 for another 1st down. 3rd down and 4. 50 seconds remaining in the second quarter. Allison looking down the field, has some time, scrambling to his right, throws right side, the pass falls incomplete. He was looking for DeShazo. I beg your pardon, he was looking for Allison near the 5-yard line. And it'll be 4th down.
Well, I'm surprised they decided to go all of their routes down the field that time. It looked like here in this trips formation on the left, if you just send 2 guys, there was a pretty wide open spot for Allison if he catches it on a slant instead. But right there, they try to send him all the way across the field. And now with 42 seconds left, I mean, you definitely want to get the first down here, but you're going to be in a bit of a hurry after that.
4th down and 4. It'll be a keeper. Miller will keep it, taking it to the near side, tries a reverse field. He gets out of a tackle at the 50-yard line, then he goes down at the 48. Mason Morales, amongst many others, strung him out, tried to change field there, and he went down at the North Ridgeville 48-yard line. Another big stop by the Amherst defense. They've got 2 timeouts to work with and 34 seconds left.
Well, we've seen Miller escape a lot of trouble tonight, but that's typically when he's been a passer. Right there, it was a run play all the way. So he had a couple linemen downfield. I mean, even when he was able to reverse field, he had no choice but to keep it on the ground, or in that case, just fall to the ground.
Cy Christensen and the Amherst offense back on the field here. Their lone score tonight, a 63-yard dash to pay dirt for Christensen. Play action fake. Airs it out down the far side looking for Cale Charles, but the pass went out of bounds.
Well, if you're the Comets coaching staff, you can't ask him to put it in a better spot than that right there. It's out of harm's way, and he still possibly gave Charles a chance to come back and try to drag the feet for that one, but lived to fight to 2nd and 10 now.
6 seconds came off the clock. 28 ticks left before halftime. Plenty of time to work with on the play clock for Christensen. And they haven't taken many shots down the field, and well, that's because he hasn't really had enough time to do so. No. They fake, they give to Gillis. He'll throw near side, caught by Duziak. Duziak trying to get out of bounds, but he's tackled at the 42. Jaden Williams got to him, and that's going to force Amherst to call a timeout with 20 seconds left.
Well, I'm surprised that the Ranger defense fell for the play action that time. Obviously, in this situation, you don't anticipate a run from this far out. It froze that second level long enough for a couple guys to be open there. He chooses to go to Duziak.
Coming up at the half, we have the Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance halftime show. We'll give you a scoring recap. We'll take a look at the first half stats and also do some scoreboard watching. We'll see what's happening in other high school football stadiums in and across the area. Don't forget, you can tune in post-game to find out what's going on WOBL and WDLW. You can also follow on that Facebook live stream as well. John Guzit, Paul Williams, David Q, and Johnny G are back at the Radio Ranch with all the final scores. They'll talk to the game-winning coaches from tonight's action, some players as well, as we get a better idea at the end of tonight as to what the playoff picture will look like going into the final week of the season next Friday night. Third down and 4. Ball at the 42. Christensen dropping back. Room to roll to the far side. He's this one toward the end zone looking for Charles. Cale Charles turns back and he makes the catch for the touchdown. A 42-yard touchdown pass from Christensen to Charles. And all of a sudden, it's a one-score game with 11 seconds left in the second quarter.
Well, and Christensen aired the ball out so well there that the defender, it hung in the air so long, he had no idea where it was coming down at. And a great adjustment by Charles at the goal line. Yeah, that ball went 50 yards through the air. Wow.
Cale Charles, a Division I commit. He'll be playing at the next level in baseball anyways at Kent State. Terrific instincts there to turn back and look for that ball and find it in the corner of the end zone. Coleman's extra point is on the way and good. 21-14 is our count here with 11 seconds left before halftime. Max will go ahead and keep this one here. You know, it was a big play offensively for Amherst that got them within 7 points, but it's their defense that's been put in a tough spot time and time again. That's what's essentially kept them in this game.
Yeah, it's bought them a lot of time, and we knew this offense, it could only be contained for so long. I mean, North Ridgeville, you come out the gate as well as you possibly can, and you keep that offense off the field through a couple special teams plays. And right now, they've been able to find some ways to click. And who knows, being in that 2-minute drill situation may have been the best thing for this Amherst offense to let it loose a little bit and just try to attack down the field.
Trying to find a rhythm. It's been tough to do. And part of that is because North Ridgeville's defense has been so good. But on the other side of things, they've kind of played keep away. They've had the ball for a healthy chunk of this first half. Coleman ready to kick it away. He sent it to the back of the end zone last time. He'll squib this one. Goes down the right hash. It's bobbled, and it's recovered at the 30-yard line.
Well, that's what you want to see for Coach Brian Morgan. Just get on. Let's get to the half and regroup. And, of course, they will start the second half with the football. Because of how hot they started the game, it may be forgotten that they're the ones that kicked it off.
Onside kick, a surprise to begin the game. They have executed 2 onside kicks successfully in this one tonight. 8 seconds remain on this second quarter clock. Cole Miller in the shotgun, sends a man in motion. They will hand it off to Flesher. He's tackled in the backfield. And that was Patrick Fellenstein who tore him to the turf. And that will bring us to the end of the first half. An entertaining one at that, 21-14. North Ridgeville is leading Amherst. We figured this one would be a really good one, and you look at all these matchups across the area on paper, this was one of the more intriguing, and it's lived up to the billing so far.
Yeah, it took a few extra turns and detours to get there, but we found ourselves in a very competitive game here at halftime.
All right, let's step aside and take a timeout here in our Legacy Home Finance game of the week. When we come back, we will launch right in to our Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance halftime show with the stats through the first half, a scoring recap, and much, much more. Again, it's North Ridgeville 21, Amherst 14 at the half, live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. Welcome into our Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance halftime show. If you have insurance questions, call Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance in Amherst. Lorain County's Four Horsemen out at North Ridgeville's Rangers Stadium tonight. A big SWC clash. It's been very entertaining halfway through this one. It's North Ridgeville leading the Comets 21-14. Andy Bulbarch and Max Drummond on the call for you. El Capitan, the director of our ship, is Edwin Vereen, and we've got Sam Sovacool working the camera tonight. Before we get into the recap and the stats, boy, what a wild first half here, Max.
Yeah, you know, coming out to this game, we knew we signed up for a pretty good one between a couple SWC foes, but did not think it would unfold this way, and especially after the start we had, the fact that Amherst is back within a touchdown of this ball game, that's just a testament to where they are as a program and the resiliency they play with.
I don't know how many times we stated this in the second quarter, but it really seemed like there were so many instances where this game felt like it was hanging in the balance, and every time we said that, the Amherst defense came up and made one big stop after another.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and that's after North Ridgeville had about as good of a start you can ask for. And yeah, they were able to get a couple onside kicks, but they were converting on their opportunities. They were making the most of them, and just a better response by Amherst as the half went on.
Second half certainly has a very difficult act to follow, but let's take a look at how the scoring went down in this one. North Ridgeville executed a surprise onside kick at the beginning of the game. They recovered that, and then they needed just a few plays to march down the field. A 42-yard touchdown pass from Cole Miller to Dylan DeShazo. That made it 7-0 in favor of the Rangers. They forced Amherst to go 3 and out, and then they took over at their own 10-yard line. They needed a dozen plays to go 90 yards down the field, and Cole Miller used his legs to get to pay dirt on a 17-yard touchdown scramble to make it 14-0. Miller would get back into the end zone again later in the half on a 5-yard touchdown rush to make it 21-0 with 7:17 to play before the half. And 2 drives later, it was his counterpart, Cy Christensen, who put his legs to work on a 63-yard scramble to the end zone. That touchdown made it 21-7. And then when it looked like North Ridgeville was going to get a chance to go up by 3 scores again, they had terrific field position. They had the ball just inside midfield at the Amherst 49-yard line. They had to turn the ball over on downs after Cole Miller was sacked on 4th down at the 48-yard line. 3 plays later, Christensen connected with Cale Charles on a 42-yard touchdown pass to make it 21-14. That went down with 11 seconds left in the half, and that's where we stand right now. Let's take a look at those first half stats brought to you by Al Januzzi CPA.
Well, and we'll pick up where you left off right there with Cy Christensen. At the end of that half, I mean, he closed it out, throwing 5 of 12 for 82 yards and that touchdown. Now, most notably on that touchdown pass, we come to find out that is a history-setting, record-setting throw because he only needed 74 yards coming into tonight to move into second for the all-time county passing yards leaders. And now he is in second place, only one name ahead of him in Dustin Crum. Pretty elite company to be a part of as he just had a great career so far. But tonight, that wasn't all he did, as he also did it with his legs. You mentioned the touchdown, 7 carries, 66 yards, and that's been the main source. After that, Passarello was able to get a little bit going with 33 yards. And then looking over at the Rangers, it's obviously been a lot on Cole Miller as he's connected for 8 of 22, 90 yards and a touchdown. And that touchdown going to Dylan DeShazo, who's got 4 catches and 56 yards in his own right. So he's really been the main guy at receiver. And meanwhile, that ground game, we'll just talk about the team. 20 carries, 146 yards for an average of 7 a carry. So I got to imagine they're going to go back to more of that and have a couple different guys outside of Cole Miller getting touches that way.
Yeah, and it's incredible when you look at those numbers because looking back at your play sheet earlier, too, you had talked about the incomplete passes thrown by Cole Miller because it seemed like they certainly had found something in that passing game. Then they lost that rhythm, and it seems like they lost a little bit of rhythm with that running game, too.
Yeah, it was a string. Now, it wasn't 8 throws in a row, but 8 times that he threw it were all incomplete in a row there in succession, and it really slowed down a lot of these drives where they did have good field position, but we noticed, okay, they're in 3rd and 9. They're in 2nd and 8 here, and just a lot of different adversity to overcome it. Like you said, when you get in those off schedule and behind the chains, you can't turn to that running game as often. I think that's what bit them there closing out the first half.
Yeah, this has been an interesting roller coaster ride because if you've taken a look at the field position battle, you see how often that's been won so far by North Ridgeville. A lot of that's their own doing because they have either forced the Amherst Comets to punt the ball deep inside their own territory to give them great field position, or the onside kicks they also factor into the equation too here. They've also had some nice returns. So a lot of it is because they've done a lot of things really well and they've executed on special teams. But when you look at that, they've only really capitalized on that a couple of times. And that says a lot about just how good Amherst was defensively, especially in that second quarter when there were so many times where it looked like people on that far side were looking at each other and thinking, oh no, this is about to get out of hand. And then that defense found a way to keep things under control, and they find themselves down by only 7 at the half. And at the same time, while they did hit on that 42-yard touchdown pass, you still get the feeling that they're still trying to find their stride offensively.
Yeah, it almost worked to their favor. Sometimes teams get a little more uncomfortable when they're forced into a 2-minute drill. They can't use their whole offense. Right there, it really worked to their favor because North Ridgeville couldn't stack the box as much as they liked. They weren't able to send as much pressure, and it allowed Cy to operate a little more comfortably in that pocket. And now I think they're definitely going to be having to monitor his running ability. They knew that coming in, but breaking off that run he did, they know he's got a chance to score on any play.
He certainly does, and he proved that earlier tonight. One of our favorite things at the half is our Rate the Dog segment, brought to you by Brian Victor of Howard Hannah. Brian says, enjoy the game. Well, we're certainly enjoying this one. Halfway through it, 21-14, North Ridgeville leading Amherst. Rate the Dog is kind of expanded, right? You guys were here earlier this year, and you talked about the Dogs were pretty solid for the opener. We brought a different element into the equation here tonight. A couple guys up here have a sweet tooth, which is always pretty healthy this late at night, right? How would you guys rate that sweet treat?
Well, I got to credit Sam, who's on the cam every week, as he spotted the band was selling donuts. We went and partook. I actually haven't tried one yet. I need to crowdsource. I see 1.5 rating for the I see 2.5, so that's an average out of 5. So big shout out to North Ridgeville band, who's on the field right now.
I saw Edwin Bareen's gigantic paw go up, indicating all 5, no doubt about that, zero hesitation whatsoever. Shout out to Sam Sovacool for bringing the donuts up earlier today. He always brings his A game. He brought cookies up last week.
Yes.
I mean, he brought the goods. That's the second week in a row he's been able to provide that. So we may not be rating hot dogs tonight. We're rating all kinds of great stuff. We have a great time up here at North Ridgeville. Always appreciate the hospitality from the entire athletic department allowing us to do this. This has been a really good night so far. First half has been terrific. We'll step aside and we'll take a quick timeout. When we come back, we'll take a look at the area scoreboard and let you know what's happening at other high school football stadiums across the area as well. Halfway through this one, it's North Ridgeville 21, Amherst 14. On our Legacy Home Finance Game of the Week. It's live and it's free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. Final moments of our halftime show brought to you by Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance. If you have insurance questions, call Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance in Amherst. Glad to bring this one to you live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. It's 21-14, North Ridgeville leading in their final home game of the regular season over Amherst. Huge one for both teams, as we mentioned all night long. For North Ridgeville, a chance to host a playoff game here, or maybe with some help, perhaps get a first-round bye. And for Amherst, to keep their playoff hopes alive, they're going to need to win this one here tonight. Andy Bolbarch and Max Drummond on the call for you. Edwin Vereen, our director, Sam Sovacle working the camera. With the final couple of minutes left on this halftime clock, let's take a look at the area scoreboard. Oberlin and Brookside are deadlocked at 14 apiece. On WOBL tonight, Black River having lots of fun at the expense of the Wellington Dukes. 27-7, the Pirates out in front. Columbia and Clearview deadlocked at 14. Keystone scored with 38 seconds left in the first half to take a 20-16 lead over Firelands in the SWC. The battle of the tracks, Avon up on Avon Lake 21-9. Olmsted Falls all over Midview 35-0. Berea Mid-Park well out in front of the Elyria Pioneers 31-7. NDCO leads Elyria Catholic 31-14. Mentor up 24-0 on Lorain. And over on YouTube, our other game of the week, it is Vermilion leading Edison 22-14. Both teams score within the last 5 minutes. Things are getting pretty exciting for Dave Rivera and Jaron Vinecourt out there. Of course, your score here, it's 21-14, North Ridgeville on top of Amherst. And so many interesting scores here, taking a look, especially in the LC8.
Yeah, and even though that's a league that, we anticipate to be decided with the result last week of Columbia defeating Keystone, there's still a few teams that have a bit to play for, because that conference, it's always just real scrappy. It's real fighting to the very end, and there's a couple teams that are also fighting for playoff spots on top of that, and one of them you mentioned, Black River, as they're kind of on the outside looking in at a certain point, so they're doing whatever they can to keep pace, and it showed up tonight. And excited to see how some of these results shake out, because depending how that Firelands Keystone game goes, that makes Columbia versus Firelands on WOBL next week a little bit more intriguing.
A lot of games will be very intriguing next week for sure. And of course, we won't know until next Saturday how this is all going to shake out. And before we officially close out our Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance halftime show, I want to send a special shout out to Tom Anderson with Green Path CPA Solutions for stopping by, paid us a nice little compliment. Green Path CPA Solutions, not your typical accounting firm. For more information, go to greenpathcpa.com. It's great to see Tom. I hadn't seen him in a couple of years. Last time I saw him was over at Smitty's when he joined us for the coaches show.
Yeah, and I mean, he told us on the way up he was listening in his car to the Avon Lake game. Now he's experiencing this one, so he's having a good football night.
Coleman's kickoff is retrieved right around the 30-yard line, and it's taken by Gus Duda up to about the 35. So North Ridgeville will have the ball to begin the second half of action with 11:57 on this third quarter clock. North Ridgeville has it at the 32-yard line. And I'm anxious to see how aggressive they're going to get here. They had a lot of success with that ground game, as Max detailed during the halftime show. Cole Miller will grab the snap. He'll fire across the middle. The pass goes incomplete, looking for DeShazo as he tried to thread the needle. And Max, I'm not so sure if that pass wasn't deflected at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, it's a very tight window to throw into as the slant. I mean, he didn't waste much time getting it across, but looked like DeShazo was the closest to the line of scrimmage there, to the tackles in the offensive line. So he tried to zip it in there, just too tight of a window. And surprised they decided to opt to a pass to open the half.
It'll be an option. They pitch it right side to DeShazo. DeShazo's eaten up at the 30-yard line. He was corralled immediately by Anthony Litz, the junior 6'3", 200-pounder. And they never allowed that option play to develop.
Yeah, and I think of, these play calls, not just in the passing and then in the running game as well. I think they're just doing a tad too much right now. They had a lot of success when they let the likes of Matthew Flesher go right at that defensive front, and Cole Miller kind of following some blocks or doing a read play off of it. And right now they're just not finding a lot of success east-west.
Nobody in the backfield with Miller. He's got time to throw. Airs it down the field. He's looking for DeShazo, but it's intercepted by Jack Coleman. Coleman comes away with an enormous pick at the 34. And the Comets will take over.
And he's no stranger to interceptions. Already had a couple coming into this game. And right there, I think Miller was caught staring down one of his favorite targets, Dylan DeShazo. And he may have waited a tad too long to throw that one, as he had him for a moment, a couple steps on Coleman, but once he waited to throw it long enough along that hash, it allowed Coleman to recover, and as you're going to see here in a moment, just jump out in front of that one. Actually coming off of, it looks like he came off of his original receiver he was covering in Mason Allison, so he covered two guys at once on that play.
It's the first turnover of the game. The two teams have both turned it over on downs, but that's the first big turnover in this contest. So Cy Christensen will lead the Comets on the field. He's going to keep it and try and run it to the near side. He'll step out of bounds at the 36. And our head referee, Eric Metzger, was the one that threw the flag at the end of the play. It's a hold going against the Comets.
Well, and that play started off a little funky. It looked like he was going to fake the handoff to Passarello, who then went right out into the flat running a route, so then he turns to run the opposite way. Got to imagine it was a designed run with how the blocking developed there, but yeah, good response there, chasing that down to the short side of the field and forcing the holding.
It'll be first down and 20 rather at the 24-yard line. A long ways to go for Cy Christensen and the Comet offense. Baez lonesome in the backfield. He'll drop back, Ridgeville rushing for it. Pass goes across the middle looking for Duziak, but Duziak kind of slipped at the 35-yard line, could not bring that in. Setting up second down.
Definitely a tough catch to make there, and would have liked to at least get some yardage back, so that's going to hurt a bit moving into this second down.
Now, we talked about how the timing of that passing game seems to be a little bit off. It almost kind of seemed like that pass arrived a little earlier than Duziak was expecting, as he was trying to make the cut to come back to that ball.
And he was going to be short of the original line of scrimmage even, so yeah, definitely, probably he was expecting a little more depth.
Christensen runs away from trouble, throws to the far side, incomplete. And that ball skipped its way to Duziak, and he kind of felt the pressure that time and had to get rid of it a little bit early. But now they have to go 20 yards on third down.
And at the end of that play, Christian Ensley a little down himself, upset he couldn't come away with the sack, but he did the next best thing possible there and foresight a roll to his left, where we've seen a lot tonight. He's not exactly comfortable when he's throwing on the run, rolling left like that.
They seem pretty content going with the empty backfield here, showing some pressure up the middle. They did this last time, and they backed off. Play clock inside of 5. Christensen facing some heat, steps up, throws down the middle. The pass falls incomplete. He had two guys in the area. He had both linebacker and Duziak, but the pass fell to the turf near the 45, and they'll be forced to punt.
And that time it wasn't much of a mystery. As soon as the ball was snapped, I mean, they said 5 guys on pressure and had Nolan Gill spying Christensen, which we haven't seen a whole lot of spies tonight on either quarterback. Right there, it came in very clutch as he was forced to throw it into a tough spot down the field. Like you said, a couple different guys to try to choose from, and nobody able to come down with it for Amherst.
Christensen back to punt, Clark back to receive it, and the second that was snapped back to Christensen, we had a whistle, and Amherst moved early.
So we know Christensen can boot it. He's got a pretty good leg on him here in the punting game, but now being asked to do a lot here. And the common theme from that first half was good field position for North Ridgeville. They play their cards right here. They can get that once again.
Christensen will retrieve the snap, and he'll get this away, a low kick. Clark retrieves it at the 50-yard line, makes one man miss. He gets hit by Fellenstein at the 45-yard line, and Fellenstein will hold him up before the rest of the cavalry can get there.
If you didn't know any better, you would think Carter Clark doesn't know that a fair catch is part of the game of football. He is so aggressive in getting a hold of it. He's trying to get as much field position back as he can for this offense.
As much as we've talked about just how good Amherst has been defensively, especially in that second quarter, I don't know that we've said it enough here tonight, just how great North Ridgeville has been defensively. I mean, that interception happened at the 34-yard line. They're going to take over on this drive at the 44. The defense was sensational on that drive, forcing Amherst to punt that so deep in their own territory that the net loss really isn't that great.
Yeah, I was going to say just around a first down length right there. And now this offense, we'll see if what they try to scheme up here. I kind of alluded to the drive before that maybe they go back to a little bit more of traditional running attack here, trying to get guys like Flesher involved and see if this Amherst defense can handle it.
We did have a flag on the play. It was a hold going against North Ridgeville.
Oh, and each special teams unit's got to come back.
So they will try and punt this again. That discussion took so long. I didn't actually see the flag on the field. I just saw them discussing with Coach Thome on the far sideline. So now they'll kick it away again. Christensen with his toes at his own 17-yard line will get this off cleanly. This is an end over under, and this time a fair catch is called for by Carter Clark at the 44.
I made a jinx the young man.
So with 10:30 left in the third quarter, the drive still begins at the 44, but this time it starts at the North Ridgeville 44-yard line.
And still nothing to sneeze at, and still obviously we saw a lot of response and stepping up from Amherst throughout the first half, and now they get a chance to do it right away here in the third quarter.
This offense was red hot in the first couple of quarters, I should say first quarter and a half, and then they were kind of stymied in the last half of the second stanza. Cole Miller will grab the snap. They'll hand it off to Flesher. He's got room to run up the middle. He gets inside Amherst territory to the Comets 46.
And throughout that first half, I mean, he averaged right around 9.5 yards a carry, and right there he exceeds that with the 10-yard gain. And like we said, throughout halftime and the start of this half, I mean, you got to expect to see more of him. Maybe not as much as you would see a Zach Barnhart get carries, but he's still got to get a pretty good share here.
They'll send Allison in motion. The give will go to Flesher again. Room to run up the middle. He's cut down inside the 40 at the 38-yard line. Passarello came up to slow him down, but he still picks up about 8 yards.
Now he's going to head out of the game, but that just means more fresh legs and Luke Bartell coming back in, and they're both sophomores, so they are essentially the future of this backfield.
And again, you can't say they're shorthanded back there. They're just a little inexperienced. They've got sophomores getting big snaps. Miller will take the snap, runs it right up the middle, gets out of a tackle, keeps his legs moving inside the 25, and he finally goes down near the 24.
And we know how good he is at creating extending plays, but that, I think, is the strong suit of Cole Miller's mobility, is when you get him rushing downhill like that, going through the lines of scrimmage. He's got the offensive line helping out, pushing him along, and right there picks up 14.
Seem to have found something again with this ground game. Moving the ball right down the field. 3 positive running plays. Bartell, the tailback. They'll give it to him. Room to run left side. He gets hit inside the 20-yard line and falls forward near the 16.
And the left side of that offensive line, Steven Spears as well as Gavin Knepp, they have been the story on this drive. They've really been following them, and they're leading them to glory right now as they're already down to the 17.
It's just had that downhill feel this entire drive, that running game for the Rangers. As good as they've looked in quite some time. They'll give this one left side, and nowhere to go that time for the sophomore Flesher. Stood up on the left side as he tried to turn the corner. It'll be 3rd down and 3.
even though that's the first play that really didn't get much, maybe a gain of 1, it's a threat now on 3rd down, whereas in the end of the first half, I mean, North Ridgeville, it felt like 3rd down, it was going to be a guaranteed drop back pass by Miller or a scramble to try to make something happen. Now Amherst has to defend a lot more of this playbook.
We'll call it 3rd down and a long 3. Cole Miller sends a man in motion, takes the snap. They'll give it to Flesher again, and he gets hit at the 16-yard line again. And it was the senior linebacker, Brody Glick, that came up to get him. They'll be short, setting up 4th down.
Yes, he crashed down very quickly there. It almost appeared like nobody blocked him. I guess maybe he was the read man, but either way, he takes advantage and brings up this 4th and short.
4th down and 2 for the Rangers at the 15 of Amherst. Seems like a scenario where a keeper would do with Miller. That'll be the call. Takes it across the left edge. He's got room to run as he takes it into the end zone. Touchdown! 4th touchdown of the game for Cole Miller. 3rd on the ground, and that makes it 27-14 North Ridgeville.
And after constantly hammering away at the interior of the line or even just to the left side, they go and bounce it out to the perimeter, and Miller's speed finally on that drive gets to be put to good use there, as we saw a lot of power by the running attack there. Put him up by 14 just about.
On 4th down, a 15-yard touchdown rush. Keller's extra point attempt knuckles its way in. 28-14, North Ridgeville back out in front by 2 scores with 6:59 to play in the 3rd quarter on the Lorain County Sports Network. Moments ago, the North Ridgeville Rangers needed 7 plays to go 56 yards, and on 4th down and short, a 15-yard touchdown scamper for Cole Miller, his 4th touchdown of the evening, making it 28-14 Rangers. Finley Keller with a squib kick, goes down the left hash. It'll bounce a couple of times before Passarello picks it up at the 15-yard line. He gets hit at the 25 and finally corralled at the 26.
Well, the last time the Rangers were on defense, and then they were very physical, and then it transferred over to their offense, as you mentioned, 7-play drive, all 7 plays on the ground there, and that could be a real turning point in this game, as obviously leaning on the offensive or on the defensive line of Amherst. A couple of those guys may see him up front on defense, and we'll see if the attitude shift continues here for the Ranger defense.
Well, their first offensive possession here in the second half. Things didn't go so well for the Comets. And that was after they had picked up a great deal of momentum at the end of the first half. Christensen grabs the snap, hands off to Passarello. He gets hit at the 25-yard line and twisted down. Christian Ensley grabbed a hold of him and just never let go. And now we've got whistles, and we have an injured Ranger down on the field. The training staff will come out and tend to that young man with 6:43 to play, 6:43 to play rather in the 3rd quarter. It's North Ridgeville 28, Amherst 14 on our Legacy Home Finance Game of the Week, live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. Ashton Cassetto, the injured Ranger on the play, able to get up and come to the near sideline under his own power. 2nd down and 10 for the Comets. Christensen sets up a pass thrown left side. The pass is hauled in right around the 27-yard line. And they'll get up to near the 29. Not a whole lot of room to work with there as he completed that pass to Anthony Litz, who we're used to seeing on the defensive side of things. They pick up just a little. And 3rd down coming up here, and another injured player on the field this time. It's an injured player for the Comets. So they will gather around the injured player on the far side. And again, we want to remind you that coming up at the end of tonight's game, to tune in to WOBL and WDLW for the Spitzer of Amherst post-game show. John Guzik and Paul Williams have you covered. They will tell you what's happening and what's happened, using both the present and past tense, right? Some games will finish while some will still be going on. In our case, we almost outlasted those guys a few weeks ago in Vermillion, and it looks like they might have the same kind of scenario between Vermillion and Edison tonight.
Yeah, those Sailors always know to put on a show when our stream crews come to town.
3rd down and 7 for the Comets at their own 29-yard line. They used an empty backfield in that last series, didn't go so well. Now they've got someone with Christensen. Although he's facing a lot of pressure, he turns away from it. He's going to run. Tight-roping the far sideline. He was knocked out of bounds. A flag comes flying in late. This could be huge if it goes against North Ridgeville. It would obviously extend the play, or extend the drive, rather.
And that's what you get from a quarterback like Christensen, who normally you might see that ball just thrown away right there. Probably wasn't going to get it, but does a good job in setting up a potential chain mover.
It is indeed that, because it's a personal foul tacked onto the end of the run, and that will give Amherst an automatic 1st down.
So it wasn't the most malicious hit, but it looked like the defender may not have let go of his leg when he was already clearly in the white and out of bounds.
Tough one to take. Can Amherst capitalize? Inside of 6 minutes to go. They'll send the snap back from the 44. Pressure coming right away. Christensen rolls away from it. Surveying the field. Fires down the left side. It's caught by Duziak in stride. Duziak's going to take it to the house for a touchdown. We have some flags on the field. As it stands right now, it's a 56-yard touchdown pass. And let's see what the laundry is all about. There was a big block at the end of that play that probably didn't have to be thrown. And I think that's where they're going to throw the flag.
That's exactly right. It looked like Duziak was well in the clear, and I understand wanting to help your teammate out. And he may have even gotten the front of the Ranger defender, but why even take the chance? Don't leave it up to that. And maybe it was a blind side. I don't know. It's just, you can't have that.
So it is exactly what Max just mentioned, going against Amherst.
And the arms appear to be used. That's what's interesting about that. But the Ranger defender probably didn't see him coming.
So that negates what would have been a 56-yard touchdown pass to Duziak. But it is going to be 1st down and 10 inside North Ridgeville territory at the Rangers' 33-yard line.
Look at around half of that. They're 28, and that's still a big breakthrough moment for this offense that hadn't been able to find much outside of these big plays.
A great job by Cy Christensen of recognizing the pressure, rolling away from it. Pressure coming from his right side. Gets away from it again. He's going to run inside the 30-yard line, tackled along the numbers. He got to about the 28, maybe the 27.
And if they keep sending the pressure like this, he's going to have to be a lot more inclined to create, get out of there a little bit quicker than he was in the first half. And he's done that so far. So if he can continue to do that here, it's definitely a better chance of them coming away with points on this drive.
He's got Passarello with him in the backfield. Again, they had a 56-yard touchdown pass, negated because of a blindside block. Cy Christensen wants the snap. He gets it. Has to step up. He gets sacked. And it was Christian Ensley who got to him back at the 36-yard line.
Ensley's a guy, he showed a little frustration when he wasn't able to get a hold of Christensen the last time he got near him, but it only seemed to be a matter of time with all these blitzes that they've been scheming up. It's going to free up somebody eventually, and you don't expect it to be him because that's a big guy to get free, but impressive way to bring down the elusive Christensen.
6'1", 275-pound senior. Ensley moves pretty well for a big fella.
You got that right.
And my, how the tides have turned. It looked like it was going to be a one-score game. Now they're looking at 3rd down and 15. Christensen drops back. Blitz picked up. Throws left side. The pass falls incomplete. Searching for Nate Wilkinson. He couldn't hang on to it at the 28. And let's see what they dial up here on 4th down.
And if you complete that one there, you're maybe looking closer to a 4th and 8. It wouldn't shock me at all if they surprised them with a quick kick, making it appear like they're going to go for it and not allowing a guy like Carter Clark to be back deep and help set up the North Ridgeville offense with some better field position.
Yeah, the pooch punt, certainly a possibility here. Got to be awfully careful with that. They'll send the snap back. Christensen steps up in the pocket. Fires down the middle. The pass is intercepted at the 5-yard line by Brian Strippy. That's his 6th pick of the season. Not a ton of damage done there. He may have actually been better off just letting that hit the turf.
I think you're definitely right, and it almost works as a punt. Obviously, you know, these quarterbacks, they don't want to see a ding to their stats like that with an interception, but in the grand scheme of this game, that might be the best way that play could have ended if you're not going to convert.
So North Ridgeville takes over at their own 5-yard line. Really got the ground game going the last time they had the ball. Be a little surprised to see them get away from that here.
Yeah, I got to imagine we see more of that, and they've got a couple different running backs and to choose from with that. He'll be Flesher to start this drive.
They'll give it to Flesher. He's had just enough of a seam to run through on the left side. He's able to punch his way up to about the 9-yard line.
And I really like how they've gone back to him here in this 3rd quarter. He had 6 carries in that first half, and they did go away from him in that 2nd quarter. Right now, he's already up to 5 carries here in the 3rd, and we've still got 3.5 to go.
2nd down and 6 for North Ridgeville. Up 28-14 in the 3rd quarter. Miller's going to keep it himself. Trying to get around the corner. Tyler Dent sticks him at the 8-yard line.
Not only that, I mean, the way he was able to fight through that block, looks like Dylan DeShazo is going to exit the game. So now in a 3rd and an obvious passing down, they're going to be without one of their top targets.
Well, a great job by Tyler Dent to stick with that, never let him get over the edge, and the nose of the ball resting at the 9-yard line. 3rd down and 7 for the Rangers. Cole Miller responsible for all 4 touchdowns, 3 on the ground, 1 through the air. Claps his hands together against the shotgun snap. Throws across the middle, incomplete. He was trying to get that to Flesher. And Max, you have to wonder if maybe the pressure forced him to get rid of that ball early.
Yeah, and that wasn't the ideal place to go with it either. Is even if it did connect on target, Mike Passarello, he was going to be there to lay the wood. So it's probably good for North Ridgeville. Falls incomplete, and they avoid getting pushed back any further to help out their punting game here.
David Duziak back around midfield, and Finley Keller's going to have to punt this out of his own end zone. A nice defensive series for Amherst again. Keller will get this punt off. A high, wobbling kick. Duziak will let that one bounce around the 49-yard line, and it went out of bounds on the near side near the 50, and we've got flags that came flying in. It's a personal foul going against Amherst.
So will remain Amherst ball, it appears?
Yes, that was the initial signal given to us by head referee Eric Metzger. But what a difference. I mean, you're talking about taking over close to midfield, and depending on where they say that went out exactly, they'll get the ball near the 35 or the 36, I think.
Yeah, it steals the talking point I had to start this drive, because I was going to say finally Amherst can return the favor a bit, give North Ridgeville a taste of their own medicine, starting pretty close to opposing territory, and now it's just kind of a bit more of what they've seen, and starting back, like you said, at their own 31 now.
Does it seem to you like they marked off too much yardage? I swear that ball went out at the 49 of North Ridgeville.
That's where I eyed it up, so maybe it was another yard or two down the field, I suppose. It did take a tricky bounce. It was spinning, wobbling, like you mentioned.
Amherst has it at their own 31. Christensen's in some trouble. Gets away from it, looking down the field, and he'll just dump this out of bounds.
A savvy play there to start the drive. I mean, he only had one receiver on that half of the field. They, a lot of times, tend to be trying to get some routes open on the left, and granted, that's been the wide side of the field more often than not, but with Christensen being a righty, it just seems like it plays more into his strengths if you can try to split that, or at least have half the receivers on the right side of the field for him when he's rolling out on these plays.
2nd down and 10. 2:23 left in the third quarter. 14-point lead for the Rangers. They hand it off to Peyton Gillis. Nothing doing. They might give him the 33. Just a minor pickup for Gillis. Setting up 3rd down and 8.
It's a very tough balancing act, because you don't want to abandon the run game, especially at this point when you're still in the third quarter, got a lot of time left. But it just feels like if it isn't Christensen scrambling on these or on the pass plays, there's not really much open on the ground.
Well, they've got that box loaded up here, showing pressure initially on 3rd down and 8. Christensen will drop back. Pressure is coming. It's picked up. Christensen's going to run. He gets past the 40. He's out in open space. He's past the 50-yard line, and he goes down at the 47. He picks up a big first down.
As he puts his body on the line there, teammates dragging him off the turf. And he's a tough guy, but that was a big collision.
Well, and he kind of brought that on. He lowered his shoulder there at the end of the play.
His throwing shoulder at that.
Inside of 90 seconds to go in the third quarter. The way this third quarter has played out, you get the impression that Amherst is going to need to get some points here. Christensen will drop back again. Has plenty of time. Goes over the middle. Caught by Wilkinson. Wilkinson is tackled at the 46-yard line. Nolan Gill on the stop, limiting him to a gain of just 1.
And this could end up being an even bigger play for Amherst, though. We do have an injury timeout, but I think I may have seen a flag fly out. We'll see what they break down here.
Wilkinson is the injured player. He went down at the very end of that play, and he's a bit slow to get up. Wait and see if there was indeed a flag on the play, and indeed there was. Just as Max mentioned, it's a personal foul going against the Rangers.
Yeah, and I couldn't tell. It didn't look like they signaled for a face mask, so I'm not sure what in the course of that tackle may have happened, but the Amherst coaching staff was on it right away, and the officials responded.
Wilkinson trying to get up with the assistance of the training staff on the far side, and it looks like for the time being he'll be okay as he tries to walk off the field under his own power with only a little bit of assistance.
And, you know, he's not certainly one of their top receiving targets, but he plays a big role in the running game and also scheming around with some extra protection, which they've needed desperately with a lot of these blitz packages being thrown at them.
This will place the ball at the 31-yard line, so it will give the Comets a fresh set of downs. This drive started back at their own 31-yard line. Christensen, time to throw. Looks, throws across the middle, looking for Duziak. The pass is incomplete, but there was some early contact. Jaden Williams got there maybe a smidge too early And that'll be pass interference going against the Rangers.
And we've seen some good plays from Williams tonight right there. He got his left arm wrapped around the receiver just a tad before the ball got there. And the official, that was the only route that he was watching, the back judge there. And he catches him right there in the act to move the chains once again by way of penalty.
So that's going to spot the ball down at the 16. Back inside the Steve Lawson of Russell Real Estate Services red zone. Stops the clock with 46 seconds left in the third quarter. Amherst offense on the move. It's Mike Passarello in the backfield with Christensen. Design run. Christensen takes it across the edge on the left side, and he steps out of bounds.
That shows the speed of Christensen. We've seen a lot of the him breaking tackles and elusiveness, but right there somehow beats Ryan Anderson to the corner there. And that's a former wide receiver for the Rangers, so he's not exactly slow by any means, even though he's at that linebacker spot.
Spot him down right around the 11-yard line. 2nd down and 5 coming up. Comets trying to make this a one-score game once again. They're going to run that same play to the short side of the field. There's room for Christensen to run. He picks up the first down as he's tackled inside the 5.
Yeah, they liked it so much, why not go back to it? Another big gain there, this time 8 yards. And it just shows the command of this offense that Christensen has. You saw right there, it looked like Passarello was trying to go back to the opposite side of the formation. He says, no, you're lead blocking for me. We're doing it again.
Clock is stopped at 36 seconds. And they'll spot it down at the 3-yard line. And for a moment there, it looked like Amherst was content, just kind of trotting off. And now they've got Jack Coleman in the game. Jack Coleman takes the direct snap. He'll hand this one off right up the middle to Passarello. He breaks a tackle and he gets in for the touchdown. Mike Passarello on the 3-yard touchdown plunge, but we do have a flag back at the 7-yard line.
Well, I couldn't tell if whistles accompanied it because it looked like everyone kind of stopped and Passarello was the only one that didn't.
Well, let's see here. Eric Metzger, the head referee, going over to talk to Amherst head coach Tom Thome. And based on the reaction, looks like the touchdown's going to stand. It's a sideline warning against North Ridgeville. So that's their second. So that means the touchdown still stands for Passarello, a 3-yard touchdown rush. And Amherst completes the drive. Coleman is on for the extra point to try and make it 28-20. Rather to try and make it 28-21 with 19 seconds left in the third. They'll send the snap back. Coleman's extra point has the distance, and it is good. 28-21. Amherst inches a little bit closer with 19 seconds to go in the third on the Lorain County Sports Network. Moments ago, Mike Passarello with a 3-yard touchdown rush, and that brings a 69-yard drive to a close for Amherst as they close the gap to 7 points, trailing 28-21 to North Ridgeville. Just inside of 20 seconds to go in the third. Sideline warning being enforced here on the kickoff. Well, Coleman kicking into that north end zone has sent one sailing through the end zone already. Trying to do the same here with Carter Clark, Cole Allison, back deep. And he'll get a pretty good piece of this one, but it won't go to the end zone. It's retrieved at the 5-yard line. Clark with room to run past the 30, breaks another tackle. He's able to get outside to the 50-yard line, tripped up along the numbers on the far side. He goes down near the 45-yard line of Amherst.
There were a number of times it looked like he was going to run into somebody, even if they weren't going to tackle him. But the way he weaved through that coverage unit, Peyton Gillis comes up huge there, saves a touchdown possibly. But once again, North Ridgeville's offense in a favorable spot, and the Amherst defense, with their backs against the wall, being forced to respond.
What a return by Carter Clark. So at the 45 now is where this offense begins this drive. As Max just said, they have had sensational field position for most of the night. A low snap that gets behind Miller, and he wisely jumps on it. Back at the 47 of North Ridgeville.
And on the final play of the quarter, you can't have a worse start to this drive. Wow.
3 down, and well, at least one more to go. 28-21, Amherst trailing North Ridgeville at the end of 3 on our Legacy Home Finance Game of the Week. Live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. Second down and long for North Ridgeville as we begin the fourth quarter of action. They lead Amherst 28-21. Second and 18 to be exact. Cole Miller is going to step up and run on the scramble. Gets to the 50-yard line, has his legs taken out from underneath them at about the 46. Mike Passarello on the tackle after he was able to pick up almost every last bit that they lost on first down.
That's obviously you want to do whatever you can for your team right there, but yeah, like you said, quite a collision with Passarello, and still they find themselves now in an obvious passing down, which is obviously not very favorable as of late. He's just one of his last 17.
Coming up on third down and 11 for the Rangers. Flesher, the tailback. They fake, they give to him. Miller steps up in the pocket. He gets hit initially, runs away from the pressure, though. Now he's going to try and run this one. Gets a big block down the field. Down the sideline he goes. He picks up the first down before stepping out near the 30-yard line. How many times have we said that tonight where it looks like they've got him, and somehow Miller escapes?
Yeah, and at first my comment was going to be he was gun-shy with the pump fake there. He didn't like what he saw downfield. Instead, he turns it around, and he finds his way scrambling once again in the open field. It hasn't been his night as of late passing the ball, but he hasn't let that just distract him too much as he's able to get it done with his legs there.
First down and 10 at the 30-yard line. They hand it off to Flesher, and he gets tackled at the 29-yard line. Patrick Fellenstein with the stop.
And after what was a very physical drive a few scoring drives ago, right there, Amherst trying to step up and shut that down and force the ball into Cole Miller's hands more often. But as we saw on a previous play, that might not be exactly what you want either.
And you have to imagine that they're going to take as much time as they possibly can here. They've been able to catch fire with that running game. Flesher, about 1.5 yards behind the quarterback Miller. They send DeShazo in motion. They'll fire right side. A nice catch is made right around the 24-yard line. He was able to complete that to Cole Allison.
And just like in basketball, which Miller, very good player for the Rangers, sometimes you just got to see that one pass get complete there and get your confidence back a little bit between him and his receivers. They may have to go back to that here on third down.
They're at a spot on the field where if they don't get it here on third, you figure they'll get at least one more crack at it. Amherst showing blitz. Miller sees that, directing traffic, gets the snap. He'll run it himself. Has room right up the middle. He's going to be close. He was hit at the 21-yard line, and the initial spot looks like he's going to be a little bit short.
Pointed it out there as he tried to direct traffic, and it appeared if his running back was able to get that seal block or at least a hit of any kind on Tyler Dent, he might have been able to find a lane. Instead, the interior of that defense holds up strong and forces could be the biggest play of the game right here.
4th down and 1. And they were able to get a couple of bodies to move. Now Amherst is pointing at North Ridgeville, Ridgeville pointing at Amherst. And the officials are going to have to sort through this mess because this is a huge call coming up.
I mean, this may as well be a coin flip to say who moved first. I mean, refs got a tough decision on their hands.
It's going to be offsides against Amherst, and that will give North Ridgeville a first down.
And what made that even tougher to decipher is the line judge on each side of the field both threw a flag, so it's not like there was one obvious choice.
So that places the ball at the 16. And the clock continues to tick. 9 minutes left. North Ridgeville back inside the red zone, leading 28-21. A chance not necessarily to put the game away, but to really create a big old cushion. Miller will keep it himself. He's got room to run. He's inside the 10, takes it into the end zone. Touchdown, North Ridgeville. A 16-yard touchdown rush for Cole Miller, but we do have a flag back at the 15-yard line. This is coming back.
Right at the point of attack there as he was able to slip through the line of scrimmage. And, you know, it just speaks to the amount of pressure, obviously, in the passing game, but also in the running game. I mean, this Amherst front seven it's doing their job tonight, despite being on the field for a large portion of it.
Ball gets placed between the 26 and the 27 now, negating what would have been a 16-yard touchdown rush. But North Ridgeville continues to take some valuable time off the clock. DeShazo goes in motion. They'll hand it off to him. He spins away from one defender. Then he gets belted near the 23-yard line.
Yeah, that's a good case right there of group tackling, swarming to the ball. Because you're right, it looked like he had spun out of the grasp of Fellenstein initially, who did try to hold on best he could, but he didn't have to worry about it. A couple more Comets helping him out.
2nd down and 17. This North Ridgeville offense has done most of their damage in the second half on the ground.
And they've been able to avoid spots like this, 2nd and long.
They'll send a man in motion. They'll give it to Flesher. Stutter steps his way past the 20-yard line, and he's tackled close to the 18.
Now, in some cases, you don't want your safety to be the leading tackler, and maybe isn't a good indication of what's happening elsewhere on the defense. But I think Michael Passarell is an exception to that rule. 126 tackles on the season coming into this game, and a lot of them are like that. Not afraid to get his hands dirty, get right in the middle of the action there, and he forces what is going to be a very 3rd and long attempt right here.
Yeah, we saw a lot of that in the 2 games we called of his when he was in Midview last year. 3rd down and 12 coming up now for the Rangers at the 18-yard line. Miller drops back, pressure coming, gets rid of it. The pass is intercepted. It's picked off by Tyler Den. Den takes it down the near sideline. Only Miller to beat. He's able to zigzag his way inside. He's inside the 20, still on his feet. Den to the 15, and he's tackled at the 14-yard line. Mr. Momentum has changed his address again. Tyler Den with a monster interception, and he takes it all the way down to the 14-yard line of North Ridgeville.
76 yards on that return, which in most cases would get you a score, but just an incredible job to keep on cutting back, and he read the route perfectly there. Miller maybe holding on to it for a tad longer than he wanted, trying to get it to the way of Cole Allison, and Den just leaping in front of that like he was running the route.
And it was Cole Miller who saved that from being a game-tying pick six as he slowed him down on the near sideline, causing him to redirect and make a cut inside so that there were a couple of other bodies that could come back in there to tackle him inside the 15-yard line. And we do have an injured player down on the field back around the 25-yard line. We have seen a lot of guys get injured here in this second half, and I think it speaks to just how physical this second half has been.
Yeah, and it's also because a lot of these drives are being extended either because of penalties or because of great stops by the defenses and just resilient plays. Or on the flip side, quarterbacks, when you think the drive is about to be over on a third or a fourth down, they find a way to get it done and convert. So it's turned into quite a lengthy night.
It's the right tackle, Noah Cassetto, who comes off the field under his own power. And now, all of a sudden, Amherst has a chance to tie this thing up. Cy Christensen works out of the shotgun, and he's got Peyton Gillis off his right hip. There was movement on the right side, and the initial indication is that it's going to be a false start against Amherst.
And this is one of the few instances where they've been gift-wrapped, their offense, that is, gift-wrapped a great field position. And not going to say it squanders that you're still inside the red zone here, but definitely a frustrating thing there for that Comets coaching staff.
Ball placed at the 19-yard line. And they've got to get up to the line quickly with inside 10 seconds to go on the play clock. Christensen will drop back, looks right, throws right, and the pass is nearly intercepted. It was a bit off target. Jaden Williams almost came away with a monster pick. He was looking for Cale Charles, but again, that pass was just a bit off target.
Yeah, a little bit late, a little bit behind Charles, and because of that, not only was he able to break it up, he came underneath of that. Normally you have to jump in front of the receiver. He's able to fit in right behind him, almost pick it.
Cy Christensen, again working with Peyton Gillis off his left hip, and they've got wings bunched up on the near side. Fellenstein is actually lined up as a tight end, only one receiver in the formation. Pump fake, Christensen rolling out to the far side, and he's just going to throw this one away. Got just outside the tackle box, and he dumped it.
Yeah, and obviously, that's you trust a guy like Cale Charles to get open. He's done it a few times tonight for some pretty good success, but that's the risk you run with just really a one-man route. There was a second guy, looked like on the backside of the formation, may have been Bryce Colvin, but he was so far out of Cy Christensen's view that he wasn't going to be a factor in that play.
They'll shift personnel and spread things out here on 3rd down and 15 at the 19 of North Ridgeville. Back to a 4-receiver look. Christensen wants the shotgun snap. Pressure coming. He's going to throw this one across the middle, and the pass is caught at the 5-yard line and taken into the end zone. Touchdown! David Duziak, a juggling act, able to make the grab and take it in, putting Amherst an extra point away from tying this game at 28 apiece.
The laws of physics cannot explain how he came down with that one. What a grab. He was supposed to have a touchdown earlier tonight. He gets his payback right there with a score. So on the doorstep of tying this game.
Jack Coleman on to try and tie this game at 28 apiece. Extra point is on the way, and it is good. Jack Coleman ties this game at 28 all with just inside of 6.5 minutes to play in the 4th quarter. Live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. set up by a monster interception from Tyler Den on 3rd down and long. Cy Christensen connects with David Duziak on a 19-yard touchdown pass, and we are tied at 28 here in the 4th quarter with 6:24 left. Jack Coleman has it teed up at the 40-yard line. Squib kick will go down the numbers on the far side. It's retrieved by Duda, and Duda will take it up to about the 33-yard line.
And now it's gut check time if you're North Ridgeville. Clearly 6.5 to go. You still have a lot of time to do whatever you'd like on offense, but it's got to be an offensive unit that is shook right now after holding the lead the entire night, and now to see it back at 0-0, you got to find a way to shake that off and respond here.
What does Coach Brian Morgan's team have in store for us here in this 4th quarter? Now all of a sudden tied for the first time in a very long time since that opening drive. We were deadlocked at 0, then the onside kick 3 plays later, a 42-yard touchdown pass from Cole Miller to Dylan DeShazo. And North Ridgeville, until moments ago, had the upper hand. First play of this drive, they go right up the middle to about the 34. Not much happening there, a very short game.
And we've commented a few times how in this second half, Matthew Flesher been involved in the backfield there. Also, of course, use guys like Luke Bartell. It wouldn't shock me if they tried to shake it up here, maybe get Dylan DeShazo or Cole Allison, guys that run the ball, motion them in the backfield, try to throw something else at Amherst defense here.
Cole Miller will send DeShazo in motion right on cue. And now we've got whistles, we've got a flag, and it looks like this is going to be an illegal formation or somebody maybe moved early for North Ridgeville.
And it just feels like it's snowballing right now if you're on that Ranger sideline. And this is where the experience of a guy like Cole Miller has got to come through here and kind of lead these guys out of it.
North Ridgeville came in receiving votes in the statewide poll in Division II. Miller, room to roll, near side to the right, he'll do that, looking down the field, and he's got Duke Baker open. He's able to make the catch and step out of bounds near the 40-yard line.
And a very patient play there. Obviously, he's scrambling, getting away from pressure, but a good job there by Duke Baker, sitting down, not panicking when he didn't get it right away, stays along that sideline, and picks up a real nice gain there.
Coach Morgan had mentioned, look, and we feel like we'll beat teams, and then they'll kind of drop out in the polls. We don't gain many points in the polls. We've got to start taking care of our own business and just forget about what the polls say. All part of doing that is taking care of a good team in Amherst. Direct snap will go right to Miller. Turns the corner, left side. He's past the 45. He goes out of bounds, and a flag comes flying in at the end of the play. It's a first down for now with the ball spotted at the Amherst 48. The flag was thrown as the play ended, and it was also thrown from a ways away from where the play ended.
Yeah, that's what made it interesting, because the Amherst sideline was jumping up about something, but I find it hard to believe they were able to see that far across the field with the ball coming right at them.
For now, it's a third down scramble that picks up a first down for North Ridgeville, but waiting on the official word, it's going to be a hold against the Rangers. Well, where did that hold take place exactly, though? Because, again, from where that was thrown, it's kind of tough to tell where they're going to mark that penalty yardage off. They'll spot the ball at the 42, so it's third down and short.
Wow, a net gain of 2 yards there for this Ridgeville offense. And, I mean, it had to have been pretty far down the field. I thought for sure maybe it was a late throw of a flag when he was still close to the line of scrimmage in the offense and defensive line there, but clearly happened well downfield.
Third down and 1 at the 42. They'll send Allison in motion. They'll give it to Flesher. Flesher spins forward to about the 43. He's going to be close. And it looks like maybe he's going to be a little short. I think he's going to be maybe a half yard short here, Max.
Man, oh man, what do you do if you're this North Ridgeville offense? You don't know necessarily if you give it back here on a punt, if you'll get it back or how much time will be there. And it looks like they're going to be aggressive.
Offense stays on the field. Fourth and short for the Rangers. And they're going to run it. They'll take it right up to the 45-yard line for a first down. When the Ranger offense needed that running game to keep the drive alive, they pick up just enough to move the sticks.
Oh, what a unique play right there. We've seen them several times throughout the night stop and peer over to that sideline for an audible. Miller does it, gets out of the way of Flesher, who then sneaks it through. That's a very nice play call.
Those can be deflating. Miller steps up, directing traffic, looking for an opening. Den undercuts him at the 45-yard line. Tyler Den does it again.
And he's got his number right now, obviously through the air getting that interception earlier, but right there setting the edge. And a lot of these scrambles and using Miller, there's not a lot down the field to go to, and they're certainly designed runs, but they just keep on. The play never seems to end the way they're being strung out.
Huge fourth down conversion a few moments ago, but the Amherst defense is able to regain the momentum on a big tackle for a loss. Miller in some trouble. Running to the near side. He's going to air this one out down the field. He's got a man wide open, and it's caught by Mason Allison. He takes it into the end zone. Touchdown, Rangers! Oh, what a play! A 55-yard touchdown pass to give North Ridgeville the lead with 3:23 to play.
Talk about redemption. That's all Mason Allison's wanted to do since missing out on a touchdown earlier, and that looked like another one of those just throwaways to fight another down. Instead, Allison catches it, tight ropes along the sideline from the 20-yard line in, and gives the Rangers the lead.
Whew. Mason Allison, the 5'10", 140-pound sophomore, on the receiving end of a 55-yard touchdown pass. The extra point is good from Finley Keller. North Ridgeville 35, Amherst 28 with 3:23 left of the fourth quarter. It's live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. One big play after another in this one. Mason Allison, the sophomore, catches a 55-yard touchdown pass from Cole Miller. His fifth touchdown of the night. It's 35-28 North Ridgeville with 3:23 to play. Finley Keller with his squib kick. It'll bounce its way out to about the 25-yard line. Mike Passarello able to take it to the far side past the 40. And he'll go out near the 43, so this will be pretty good field position for Amherst.
And that just means we get another chance to see Cy Christensen in this offense if they've got an answer. And this is typically something we wait until post-game to talk about, but, man, that Nick Abraham Elyria Ford Golden Helmet Award watch, it's doing the talking itself on the field. We don't even have to mention it.
Two of the absolute best. No doubt about that here tonight. Cy Christensen, Cole Miller, on display here at North Ridgeville's Ranger Stadium. What a contest. Christensen set up in the shotgun. 4 receivers to work with. Pressure picked up. Throws across the middle. Caught by Duziak in space. He gets to the 45-yard line. He's shoved out of bounds. It was Ryan Anderson who got to him, but not before he stepped inside the Ranger 40 to the 38.
And that one, he used all of his hands to bring that one in. A lot easier than the previous catch he made a couple drives ago. And right there, it moves the chains in a big way.
Clock stops at 3:08. We'll run this play on the near side off the left. Tash. Down 7 here. Cy Christensen drops back. Facing some heat. Rolls out to the far side. And he will dump this out of bounds. Look, those are smart plays, Max. I know in times like this, you want to make the big play. You want to be the hero. Sometimes plays like that are just as important to know that you can live to see another play if you just throw it away.
Building off of that, I was just about to say, despite a lot of the success that we've seen here from this Amherst offense in the second half, that pressure has not let up one bit. And that's even without a guy like Ashton Cassetto, who I don't believe we've seen return to the game much at all here since exiting earlier. So the fact that their depth is still getting pressure, it's impressive.
This has been just as great as advertised. What a matchup. Christensen rolls out again, surveying the field, fires right side. It's caught by Peyton linebacker, and he goes out of bounds at the far sideline near the 32.
The linebacker, I mean, he's fallen by the wayside a little bit tonight, just his second catch, but you can tell he's been had a lot of attention paid to him here this evening.
They need 4 yards on third down. Cy Christensen trying to move the sticks. His cadence for a moment looked like he may have been able to get somebody to flinch for North Ridgeville. Looking at that left forearm of his, inside of 10 seconds left in the play clock. Back to pass on third down. The blitz for a second was picked up. The pass is almost intercepted. Nolan Gill had it and lost it at the 33-yard line. They were searching for linebacker again, and great coverage by the senior linebacker, Nolan Gill.
And Christensen may have had a chance to, if he could have led him more on that one, but he was off of his back foot once again, which has been a constant, not only this drive, but throughout the game. Pressure in his face right there, and now we get a big fourth down right here. We've seen North Ridgeville come out on top on a few of these. We'll see if the Comets can here.
Well, both teams do have all 3 timeouts to work with. No sooner than a half second after I finish that sentence, timeout is called by Amherst head coach Tom Thoe. Timeouts brought to you by Lorain County Recorder Mike Duran. Securing and organizing real estate documents, that's Lorain County Recorder Mike Duran. When this game's over, we've got some awards to give away, and we also encourage you to listen to our Spitzer of Amherst post-game show with 2 Johnny G's, a Paul W. and a David Q.
Well, we're on the verge of going past their end time once again. And I mean, I don't know if they'd be upset with us. We're giving them a little bit to talk about. Check that these teams are giving them a lot to talk about. So still pretty exciting if you can hop on over there for a moment, find out a few other scores around the county, because it's been a good night for football here.
Yeah, a lot of rivalry games going on tonight, some very tight contests. Our other stream game tonight came down to the wire. Week 9. We wouldn't have it any other way. 4th down and 4 for Amherst at the North Ridgeville 32-yard line. Ridgeville showing pressure. Christensen steps up, going to try to run for it. He gets hit at the 29-yard line. He's going to be short. He tried to run for it and scramble on 4th down, and he ends up about a yard short.
Needed 4. Looks like he's only going to get 3, and just with all of the incredible plays he's made tonight, that Amherst sideline, I just had to feel like he was going to get it, but stacked up by about 3 different Rangers there, and give the ball back to this offense.
Well, because they burned that timeout, now you've only got 2 to work with 2:40 to play here. So things will get at least a little bit interesting, but if Amherst is able to get the ball back, there won't be a whole lot of time left to work with. Cole Miller grabs the snap. He'll keep it himself. Room to run up the middle, past the 35 he goes, and he tumbles forward to about the 36.
Well, why wouldn't the game be in his hands, or the ball be in his hands at this point in the game? I mean, he's gotten them to this point and then some. Gotta imagine he'll be the one to try to close it out here.
2nd down and 3. And you may be wondering, why didn't Coach Thome call for a timeout? Well, you can let the play clock run out here. You hope that your defense can make a big stop here on 3rd down. Then you call for that timeout. Got to imagine Miller's going to keep this himself. They'll send a man in motion. It's Flesher. And it'll be a keeper again. Miller breaks 1 tackle. He gets past the 40-yard line. Zigzags his way towards the near side, and he slides down at the 37-yard line.
And that easily takes him over the century mark on the ground. just continuing to add to his incredible night and may have put the nail in the coffin.
So timeout is called by Amherst with $1:42 to play. And now they need some sort of miracle to come out with a chance to tie the game here. You need a botch snap or a fumble of some sort. Otherwise, that scramble probably pretty well did them in.
Yeah, and that scramble, you could see him breaking out a few tackles, and you were wondering at what point is he going to slide down? Is he going to give himself up? And I think he did it the right way there, crossing well into Amherst territory in case disaster were to happen. There's still a pretty good length of the field Amherst would have to go.
Amherst was down 14 on a couple of separate occasions here tonight. They rallied to tie the game at 28 apiece. But then Cole Miller was able to find Mason Allison on a 55-yard touchdown pass. Right now, that's the difference in this one. One timeout for Amherst to work with. It's first down and 10 at the 37. And again, because of that, you've got to hope for a botch snap or a fumble of some sort. Otherwise, there just isn't much of a chance. And for Amherst, again, this was a game they needed to win to have a realistic chance at getting into the playoffs.
When we've talked about a few times throughout the season how maybe this region, D2 Region 6, was the one that could have stayed at 16, because this looks like a team that should be playing Week 11.
Flesher's out in open space. He's inside the 10, and he takes it into the end zone. Touchdown, Rangers. A 37-yard dash to pay dirt for Matt Flesher, and it's a 41-28 North Ridgeville lead.
And he puts the exclamation point on this game potentially with that run. And yeah, the middle of that defense parted like the Red Sea. It'd been a long night. They've been asked to do a lot. And it finally broke through once again right there.
Now we've got whistles. And not exactly sure what this is all about, but the officials saw something they didn't like. Now we have a flag thrown in the end zone. Based on the North Ridgeville reaction, this penalty's going against them. I don't think someone was lined up correctly. So that'll make this extra point attempt just a little bit longer.
Well, and Finley Keller, he's pretty prepared. He's 3 of 4 on field goals throughout the season. This is almost an extension of that here.
We'll send the snap back. Extra point has plenty of distance, and he puts it through. 42-28, North Ridgeville on top of Amherst, 1:39 to go in this one on the Lorain County Sports Network. Moments ago, Matt Flesher found the end zone on a 37-yard touchdown rush, and it's a 14-point lead for North Ridgeville with $1:39 to play. It's not the worst possible outcome in that scenario, though, for Amherst. They have one timeout to work with, and now their offense will have a chance here to get the ball back. Kickoff is retrieved by Jack Coleman at the 35-yard line, trying to get to the far sideline and turn the corner, and he's tackled near the 42, and a flag came in at the end of the play.
Well, and he was extending a stiff arm, and the defender tackled him high. That's tough to say. It could be on either one of them.
Feels like there's been a lot more laundry in the second half. What a game this has been. And you figured you'd get both teams' best in this one. We've certainly gotten that so far. One team fighting to keep their playoff hopes alive. The other fighting for a better seed in what is a very, very difficult region.
And entering this game, it felt like North Ridgeville wanted to have it, but feel like it was a need for the Comets tonight.
Christensen throws left side. The pass is caught by Charles. He steps out of bounds near the 37. Well, it's obvious what needs to happen here for Amherst. They've got to score pretty quickly here and then recover an onside kick. Now, we've seen 2 onside kicks recovered here tonight. Crazier things have happened over the last 3 hours. Second down. Christensen throws right side. This time linebacker hauls it in before stepping out on the far sideline. He stepped out close to the 33, a little short of first down yardage.
Yeah, that's just, you got to take what they're giving you right now, obviously defending against that deep ball. But whatever you can to keep the offense on the field here in the final 80 seconds or so.
Third and short scenario. When it was a 7-point game, they went forward on 4th down, and they came up 1 yard short. Christensen fires for Charles again, makes the catch at the 31-yard line, trying to make a man miss, but he's tackled in bounds. Tackled at the 30-yard line, and a nice stop made by Javon Harris. They got the first down, but the clock continues to roll. Christensen will roll on again. Somehow avoids pressure. Now we see a flag thrown. Christensen takes off and runs. He gets out of bounds, but we could see that hold as it was happening. So this is going to cost Amherst 10 yards.
And the more unfortunate part about that is the last 2 plays or so burned around 20 seconds, where you really got around 3 in total, and then you're going to lose a few more there. And you got to do something to avoid this pressure, though, because even at this point in the game, it's still been pretty effective by North Ridgeville. As you got to imagine, both sides are pretty tired, but they've got a few fresher legs out there thanks to some substitutions up front.
61 seconds left in this one. 14-point lead for North Ridgeville. Christensen airs this one out. Down the far sideline, incomplete. And the Amherst sideline was hoping for a pass interference penalty. They do not get it. Really good coverage by Jaden Williams. They just didn't offer much of a window for them to complete that to linebacker.
And you definitely want to hold on to this last time out for as long as you can, but being in 2nd and 20 right now, it almost feels like it would be worth it to throw something over the middle of the field that may open up better, and then use that timeout and give yourself a better chance on an eventual 3rd down.
Christensen has time to throw. He steps out of the pocket. Now he's running backwards. He had to run 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage. He's in trouble, and he throws it out of bounds on the near side. Lots of time came off the clock there as well. As a matter of fact, it took about 16 seconds off the clock.
And he did the right thing not taking the sack. It all means you had to keep that play alive, but you know, there was at one point during the routes there that Cale Charles may have broken open, but that was in the middle while he's running for his life. So definitely not an easy thing to target 20 yards down the field.
3rd down and 20 at the North Ridgeville 40-yard line. They need something special here on 3rd down. We've got whistles, and there was early movement for Amherst. This will cost them 5 more.
And now it's starting to reach territory where you may just have to go for the end zone here. Forget about trying to move the chains, because the clock continues to tick and you just keep moving further back. We've seen a 50-yard ball out of Cy's hands earlier in the game, so maybe it wouldn't hurt to go back to it here.
3rd and 25 at the North Ridgeville 45-yard line. Long ways to go for Amherst. Christensen working with a pretty clean pocket for the most part, rolling out to the far side. Nothing open down the field. He's got to throw it away. Duziak was in the area, but again, there just wasn't much room for him to complete that pass.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's easier said than done when I say it aloud, but in the previous time where he was able to air it out like that, you're in the middle of the 3rd quarter. There's still a threat to run the ball. Obviously, North Ridgeville just keeping everything in front of them right now. And even what is a very talented receiving core, it's asking a lot of them here.
4th down and 25. Last gasp effort. Christensen airs this out down the field. It's knocked away by Brian Strippy. Well, we mentioned a last gasp effort on 4th and 25. There really isn't a whole lot that you can do in that situation. Christensen just trying to heave it up in the air to see if they can make something happen. But the North Ridgeville defense comes through with a really nice stand. And with 30 seconds left, they can snap it, knee it, and score their 8th win of the season.
Another thing to note there, Strippy, we saw an interception get caught deep in the road end earlier right there. Maybe the coaches mentioned it. Maybe he just realized himself. He bats it down there, and they don't have to run a play from deep in their own end.
Victory formation. Cole Miller will take a knee, and this one comes to an end. A thriller between North Ridgeville and the Amherst Comets. Well, you certainly feel for Amherst in a game where you knew they had to win to try and keep their playoff hopes alive. They rallied from 14 down twice, but they ultimately will fall in this one to the Rangers, 42-28. We'll step aside and take a timeout. We'll come back with more after this in the postgame show to wrap this up on the Lorain County Sports Network. This game certainly lived up to the billing. 42-28, North Ridgeville a winner over Amherst. And with this win, well, they're one win away from doing a couple of different things. Number one, Max, you'd like to think that one way or the other they will host in the first round in a very difficult region. But with some help, North Ridgeville may not be playing in a couple of weeks. They may actually end up with a bye in a couple of weeks, depending on how things shake out. But they were tested here tonight. They had the upper hand early. They were up by 14 for it felt like a good chunk of the evening, but they survived an enormous storm from the Comets in the second half, and they come away with a 14-point win.
And I think it's maybe program-defining win isn't the right word, but it exemplifies what they're all about. There are a couple guys down heading into the game. Their main fastball isn't working at certain points, and they still found a way to gut this out and to find a way to win. Deep into October, there's something special about that.
This game had a little bit of everything. You know, a surprise onside kick to begin the game, and the way things were looking for a while, we thought, all right, well, this thing could certainly spiral out of control. At one point, it was 21-0 North Ridgeville after Cole Miller's third touchdown of the game. However, Cy Christensen was able to use his legs to get Amherst into the end zone in a 63-yard touchdown scramble to make it 21-7. And they pulled a little bit closer, down 21-14, after he found Cale Charles on a 42-yard touchdown pass to bring them within 7 at the half. Things really got crazy in that second half. There's no other way of putting it. Cole Miller on 4th down with a 15-yard touchdown rush made it 28-14. And then there was a big interception by Brian Strippy, number 6 of the season for him. And after that interception, it looked like things could certainly go south again. They did anything but, because it didn't take too long for Amherst to inch a little bit closer on a nice, long, sustained drive that came to an end on a 5-yard touchdown rush from Mike Pastorello to make it 28-21. And then when it looked like North Ridgeville was essentially kind of going for the kill, they were inside the red zone, and Tyler Dent picked off a pass at the 10-yard line, nearly took it to the house, but eventually he was slowed down by Cole Miller to the point where the rest of the troops were able to catch up to him and bring him down. However, it wasn't enough to keep Amherst out of the end zone, as Christensen connected with David Duziak on a 19-yard touchdown pass. As we look back at that play, we're still not entirely sure how he was able to come away with that catch, and that tied the game at 35 apiece, or I should say 28 apiece. But then North Ridgeville's offense really went to work. They put a great drive together, and on a play where it looked like they had Cole Miller dead to rights in the backfield, he was able to roll away, got to the near sideline, got a lot of air under a pass, sending it down the near side where it was caught by Mason Allison, who then took it into the end zone on a 55-yard touchdown strike to make it 35-28. And then they were able to get Amherst to turn the ball over on downs. They needed about 4 yards on 4th down. Cy Christensen stopped 1 yard short. North Ridgeville took over, and Matt Flesher with a 37-yard touchdown rush was the final score of this game to make it 42-28. Two teams with playoff aspirations, and they played like it here tonight.
Man, I got to give you a chance to catch your breath, because that is a lot of scoring, a lot of excitement on display. The Duziak touchdown you talked about, we don't know how he caught it. When we went to commercial, producer Edwin and I, we tried to slow it down to 0.3 speed, and we still can't figure out how we corralled that. But just a lot of incredible plays like that. And I mentioned it right near the end of the game. I mean, this feels like two teams that should be playing in Week 11. Obviously, North Ridgeville sets themselves up to do so. More of a long shot now for Amherst as we get ready to go into Week 10, but still just incredible performances by both sides.
And I'm sure John Guzik, Paul Williams, David Q, and Johnny G will talk about this on the Spitzer of Amherst postgame show. Catching up with Coach Morgan earlier this week, he said if we're fortunate enough to come out on top against Amherst, we feel like the computer points are structured in a way that regardless of what we do against Olmsted Falls next week, we might end up playing them again in the 11th week of the season. So there's still a lot to be determined, because there are a lot of things that can happen before the end of the night tonight, and of course next Friday as well. But we know one thing for sure: North Ridgeville will have Olmsted Falls in the final week of the regular season. And unfortunately for Amherst, this loss really threw a wrench into their postseason plans. They've got Midview next Friday night, but they would have to hope for a lot of things to go wrong for a lot of other teams in the region. And as we've talked about before, Max, this is a region where 12 just doesn't seem to be enough.
Yeah, it's just a tough break with how those line up sometimes. And we knew that coming into the season that this would likely be one of the most contentious ones. But still, obviously, year's not over yet, but still just a lot of really good things to take from not only this season, but the program that Coach Tom Thome is building over there at Amherst. And I know Coach Elder talked about that last week on the post-game show with John Guzik and company, that is a very quality team, and they're on the rise.
Well, let's take a look at the final stats in this game, brought to you by Al Januzzi CPA. It's all about the numbers. That's Al Januzzi CPA.
Well, we'll jump in with our a preview of who you'll hear more about in a little bit here, as Cole Miller led the way. 11 of 29 through the year. Not the prettiest completion percentage, but he found a way, gutted it out, got it done. 161 yards, 2 touchdowns, tacks on 3 more on the ground for an offense that ran for 305 tonight. And that was definitely a key part in certain spots of this game where maybe there were some lulls in action or they weren't able to hit an explosive play. That running game, they were able to rely on it. And then just a quick look over at Amherst. We'll check out the other quarterback as he deserves it. Cy Christensen, 13 of 32, 170, 2 touchdowns, as well as 94 yards and a 63-yard touchdown on the ground.
Lots of big numbers in there. Again, stats brought to you by Al Januzzi CPA. It's all about the numbers with Al Januzzi CPA. Some really interesting numbers in there, and that leads us to our player of the game. Brought to you by Zabo Apparel Company. Be game day ready all year long with Zabo Apparel Company. Max mentioned the numbers for Cole Miller. He was responsible for 5 of the 6 touchdowns for the Rangers here tonight. He threw a couple. He ran for a few, and there's just no other guy you could give it to here, Max. He was sensational for this North Ridgeville offense, and even when it looked like things weren't going well, he always found a way, albeit with his arms sometimes and sometimes with his legs, to make things happen.
Yeah, the creativity on display alone, even if some of those didn't end in scores, was enough to carry it over in our eyes. As he's been asked to do a lot here down the stretch, especially without one of their better players now, and he keeps answering the bell. There's no other way to put it. He just finds a way to get it done for these Rangers.
He absolutely does. So congratulations to Cole Miller. He is our Zabo Apparel Company player of the game. Taking a look now at our drive of the game, brought to you by Valley Chevrolet. Keep on driving with Valley Chevrolet in Wellington. Well, there certainly are a couple of candidates here. I think 2 of them definitely stand out. For North Ridgeville, they were already up 7-0, but then they went 90 yards on a dozen plays, and they scored in a third down touchdown scramble from Cole Miller. He brought it in from 17 yards out to make it 14-0. That's one. The other is the eventual game-winning score. That drive began at their own 33-yard line. They endured a couple of penalties along the way. And when it was all said and done, they went 67 yards on 10 plays, and they scored on that 55-yard touchdown pass to Mason Allison. I think both are definitely worthy of that drive of the game.
Yeah, you can just flip a coin there, and I'll be fine with either one because they were really game-changing drives and went a long way in deciding this game.
Certainly did. What a fun one this was for us to call here tonight. Again, 42-28, North Ridgeville defeats Amherst. With the win, North Ridgeville 8-1 on the season. Just the one loss to Avon. The loss puts Amherst at 4-5. Don't forget, you can catch all the details on this one and all the other games going on in the county as well on the Spitzer of Amherst post-game show with John Guzik, Paul Williams, David Q, and Johnny G. They are executing that as we speak, so make sure you dial that up on WDLW, WOBL, and you can also watch on that live Facebook stream as well. Next week, we ride in to the regular season finale. Lorain County's 4 Horsemen will be in Elyria as the Pioneers take on the Avon Eagles. Pre-game coverage at 6:30, kickoff scheduled for 7 o'clock. We will be there for our final ride in the 2025 regular season. Max, any final thoughts from you before we say thanks and say goodnight?
Man, we had some of those donuts at halftime, but the play on the field was the real treat. This was an incredible game to watch, and, just a whole lot of fun here in Week 9.
What a blast. Yeah, looking at the numbers, we thought this one would be awesome, and it was every bit as good as we thought it would be. All right, well, that's going to wrap things up for us here at North Ridgeville's Rangers Stadium, where, again, the Rangers in their final home game of the regular season defeat the Amherst Comets 42-28. Plenty of people to say thanks to before we sign off here tonight. First and foremost, a big thanks to all of you for tuning in to tonight's broadcast. We appreciate you making us a part of your Friday night festivities. Big thanks to the North Ridgeville Athletic Department for their help and hospitality in preparation for tonight's game. I'd like to say thanks to both head coaches as well, Tom Thome of Amherst and Brian Morgan of North Ridgeville, for getting us all the information that we needed to get ready for this game ourselves. And a big thanks to the entire broadcast crew. Lorain County's 4 Horsemen locked in the second to last week of the regular season. Sam Sovacool working the camera, the captain of our ship, the director, Edwin Vereen, and my thanks to my tag team partner, Max Drummond, for his outstanding, colorful analysis as well. That's going to do it. One final time, your final score. North Ridgeville 42, Amherst 28. For Sam, Edwin, and Max, this is Andy Bullbarch saying thanks again for tuning in to our Legacy Home Finance Game of the Week on the Lorain County Sports Network.